The 31-year-old megastar of British boxing, Amir Khan, making his long-awaited comeback after 2 years out of the ring. Personal problems, reality TV. How will he fare against this tough, gritty veteran in Phil LaGreca? And there's the blistering hand speed. Down goes LaGreca, and Amir Khan has returned with a vengeance. And British boxing is now at his feet to put catapult into superstar that he once was, Amir Khan!
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Boxing Coalition. My name is Cam. Joining me tonight, we've got a full house. MV Chu, Leon, Naota, and Daniel will chime in and out as he usually does, most likely when he's driving, but hope all you guys are well. Just going to do a bit of a kind of upside down start to the show because I know Leon's limited in time, and we can kind of get a few of the cards out of the way quickly because not much to talk about. Khan delivered quite quickly, and I think Frampton Donaire was a decent fight. Didn't really give us fistics fireworks, as Ronaldo would say. But Leon, I'll start with you. Donaire versus Frampton in Belfast. What do you think of the fight?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't super, compelling, but I mean, sort of Frampton was very cautious throughout the whole fight, and Donaire looked a bit washed, a bit clueless at times, and he hasn't looked in good shape in a long time, has he? Really?
No, he's at a weight where really he shouldn't be anymore. But quickly, before you continue, Leon, over the weekend you messaged me. You said that you thought Donaire was washed, but also Frampton still washed. I thought it was a good performance from Frampton personally. I think people kind of jumped on the Frampton's wash bandwagon after Leo, and then after that last fight he had, and I think they kind of jumped on that conclusion a bit too quickly personally. But what do you see in Frampton where he's washed?
I was obviously fucking around a bit, but just I don't know what it is. Just my gut feeling says he doesn't beat any good guys anymore. I don't really have anything to base that off other than he has slipped a little, we think, and just my gut feeling, untangible kind of feeling about him.
Is there anyone or belt holder at 126 where you think he would have success?
Was it Valdez? Yeah, that's still a close fight, but I can see Valdez. That's a close fight. That's a 50-50. And who else is there?
Selby.
I just who knows, because we haven't seen Selby fight in so long. I don't, I feel like that's a.
I think stylistically,
like Selby's so big for him.
Yeah,
I always felt Selby would win that fight.
Yeah, same here. I think stylistically, that's the type of style that I think Carl would have problems with, because Selby's going to be going backwards, and Frampton kind of struggles, kind of hunting a guy down.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I've always felt Selby would win that. And who else is there?
Gary Russell. Are you fighting Jojo Diaz? But say he got through that fight.
It's a weird division because he hasn't fought in years either. But
that's the battle of the T-Rex arms, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I think Russell would win that fight.
All right. Chu, did you see this fight?
Quick hands.
Yeah, I saw the fight. I think the major talking point of this fight is not Carl Frampton or Nonito Donaire, it's Rachel Donaire. Because Nonito's career as a boxer, I think, is winding down. He's on the last leg of his career, but Rachel's career as a trainer, I think, is about to take off. I think boxing fans are in for a real treat. And as her stable increases, it's going to be a roller coaster ride for everyone on board, and I'm one of them.
Yeah, but would she have to marry everyone that she trains?
Yeah, well, in the lead up to this fight, there was comments from Nonito and Rachel that they were watching Carl Frampton fights in bed.
That's creepy.
In preparation. That's creepy, yeah. That is preparation for a massive fight, Hey, whatever those guys get up to in the bedroom, that is up to them. But me personally, I think it was a masterstroke Because if you listen to the advice that Rachel was giving Nonito in the corner, you know, it was so concise and thoughtful. You know, he's coming back at the end of, I think it was the 4th round, and she was saying, "You're more experienced than Carl Frampton." And I was like, yeah. Yeah, but let's be honest, Nonito's shot as fuck. He's got leg warmers on. You know, what's he doing? He's like, and he always does.
He's always one of those though. To be fair. Yeah,
he's goofy. He's a bit of a goofy. He's a character, and he's doing this bounce thing. He's kind of bouncing and twisting. He's trying to get that snap, and it reminded me of like 1950s classics. You know, like Chuck Berry, and you know, let's twist again.
Twist the night away.
Like we did last summer.
He was just twisting and missing, and he was looking for an uppercut all night, and sometimes he got it, sometimes he didn't. I think, you know, Carl, I don't agree with Leon. I see what he means. Carl Frampton's seen better days, I think, and the whole fight, you know, I remember the days in Belfast where the place was buzzing. You know, people hanging from the rafters, they were ravenous, looking forward to a Carl Frampton fight. The whole thing just seemed boring as fuck, and the Box Nation commentators were trying to big it up as if it was like a close fight, and Nonito Donaire was right there, but Nonito Donaire was landing like one punch around, and Carl Frampton was just coasting.
But you kind of know what kind of Donaire was turning up with all the antics in the build-up to the fight, like getting people in the ring and dancing and getting the kids done. Like, he wasn't focused on winning this fight.
You know what it seemed like? You know, like back in the day when retired boxers would like just go around different countries and just put on kind of spectacles and just, you know, make a bit extra cash. It just seems like that. He's like on his farewell tour, and he's not really too bothered whether he wins or loses, but he's just happy to be there almost.
And like Chu said, he's goofy, right? He's goofy. I think there's a village missing an idiot somewhere. You know, that's the kind of, like, he's just not the sharpest tool, is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
he's cringy. He's cringy as fuck. He's the kind of guy who says a lot of words, and he doesn't understand half the words he says.
He's got
absolutely.
God.
Yeah. I think Rachel Donaire is like using Nonito as like an avatar. If you've ever seen the film Avatar, I mean, she's living her past life vicariously through Nonito, and it's abuse. I don't know.
I was going to say that it's psychological abuse. Like, she's committing crimes.
I mean,
she's in his head twisting stuff up. I bet it's quite dark in their home life.
Wow.
This has took a massive turn, the podcast, in the last 5 minutes. To be honest with you, I think Rachel has really ruined his career.
Oh my God.
She's been fucking up his career for a long time. I remember back in the day when we were talking about her interfering. I'm surprised she didn't kick the two other guys, those two other bum trainers that he had with him. Just kick them out the ring, and you do the fucking end swell, and you do the fucking adrenaline on the cotton bud, Rachel. Just fucking keep the money. That's what it's all about. They don't want to hire a decent trainer. They want to keep all the money to themselves, make a little retirement nest. Hey, fair play. Fair play. You do what you've got to do. But don't fucking try and pretend that like you're fucking a prime Freddie Roach, because you're not.
Imagine she gets like quite a decent super middleweight, and she can be in one corner and English can be in the other corner. That's gold dust.
That's pay-per-view right there.
People want to see the gloves are off for that Rachel versus Eubank.
Yeah, you do that. you do the trainer's gloves is off like Kern did with the promoter's gloves is off. But Naota, what did you think?
Could you imagine the kinky shit? Like fucking
wow.
Rachel and fucking Nonito. Kinky watching
the leather boots.
Chris Eubank Jr. on the fucking stick bag.
The leather boots. The leather boots would be in effect. But Naota, what did you think of the fight?
I mean, I thought it was a pretty good fight. I mean, maybe a little one-paced by and large. You know, it was a lot of posing from Nonito and a lot of missing from him. But, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, this is kind of the Nonito that I always saw throughout most of his career, albeit slightly dulled in the reflex department. And that dullness in the reflex department, as well as maybe some of the stamina department, i.e. the work rate, you know, of course, that leads him to not being as successful as he has been in the past. But even Frampton, you know, Frampton isn't a guy that has really a particularly high work rate either. But it just seemed like he was kind of able to pick and choose his spots. Although, like, he did, it seemed like Frampton realized early on, though, that he couldn't necessarily stick in the mid-range with Nonito. He needed to either be in and out and all the way on the outside so that Nonito couldn't reach him, and so that Donaire would have to be the one going forward, and he's never been the best fighter coming forward. Or Frampton would be bullying him, you know, like after he'd land a good shot, he'd, you know, bully him into the corner and then start landing some more. Although that did leave him open to some of those uppercuts that Donaire landed and, you know, momentarily stunned Frampton. I think Frampton has proven over the course of his career that he's got a pretty solid chin generally, even if he has been off his feet a couple of times. But he took those shots well, and he responded back almost every single time, even when Donaire kind of buzzed him a little bit. And, you know, it was pretty much a Frampton fight. It was somewhat paint by numbers, but I thought it was a lot better. I thought he looked a lot better than he did against Horacio Garcia. But it might be styles as well. You know, Garcia was more of a
pressure,
archetypal Mexican fighter with, you know, high work rate, very tough, and just, you know, crowding Frampton and not allowing Frampton to really pick his spots, whereas Donaire allowed him to. So it's really just a matter of you know, the styles that are involved with Frampton. Although I do think Frampton may be a little bit on the downside as well. I don't think he's as far on the downside as Donaire is, however. But against the other titleists, it's going to be tough for him. I still favor Valdez over him. The only but I have there is what potential residual damage may Valdez have gotten from Quigg. You know, he broke his face up a little bit, teeth and all that good stuff. So that may be a tougher fight in the aftermath than it would have been, I think, before. I don't particularly like his chances against Selby, although to me that's a fight that would probably look a lot like Hughie Fury and Joseph Parker. So I can't necessarily see either of them really getting an advantage in that fight. It would be a dull fight, I think, but it would be a close one. I think Gary Russell and JoJo are too quick for him, and Santa Cruz has already beat him, so I can't see him beating him.
Naota back to his Frampton bashing. I still remember when you picked Chris Avalos, bro. I'll never forget that.
But
well, I picked
no one ever will.
Fight.
Sorry?
I was going to say,
I picked Frampton going into this fight, so
yeah. Sorry, Frampton was a bit naughty with the head a few times, I thought.
I saw that. He kind of rushed him with his head. The ref did tell him off, but overall, the fight was kind of fought in good spirits. Lim, you want to give your opinion? Or
I don't think he was intentional. I think he just, you know, he was bullying forward and it kind of happened.
Yeah. Lim, do you want to give your 2 cents or should I just give mine?
Yeah, I hated the fight from the moment it was signed, and especially the pre-fight antics of Nonito getting people in the ring and trying to be like a rec gym cheerleader coach type of shit. That kind of shit just pissed me off. And it was an average fight. And Nonito's shot. I think Frampton's still legit. I'd pick him over Valdez, and that's the only champion that I can see him having success against. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yeah, the fight for me, it was decent. Nonito, I said it in the fight when he fought Jesse Magdaleno, he just can't pull the trigger anymore. When he did try and kind of get off first, he'd get countered by Frampton with either like right hand left hook or reverse 1-2s, and then I think that caused him to be even more gun shy. And then when Frampton would come forward, Frampton would land whatever he kind of wanted. Only success that Nonito really had was maybe the 11th and a few other rounds when Frampton kind of stood in the pocket and went to war with him. But other than that, it was quite a comfortable win for Frampton, and I would favour Frampton over Valdez. I think Selby beats him. I think Frampton beats Warrington. I think he has a close fight with Gary Russell, and in a trilogy with Leo. I think that could go either way. I think he would learn his mistakes from the second fight, but yeah, I think it's kind of a 50-50 that fight. But anyone else?
I think Leo's got him in his got him in his pocket. Like,
Got him
I feel,
mentally.
Yeah.
after that first, the second
I
fight.
think, I mean, if we thought, I think what you said earlier, Cam, was completely right in terms of us writing the end of Carl Frampton's chapter a little bit too early. But Leo's only getting better. He's like 5 years younger than Frampton. I think Leo would beat him even this time around.
Yeah, because you got to think that was his win against Frampton was his best performance.
Yeah,
Like, he's on an
That
upwards
was
trajectory.
like,
Yeah.
Well, and I
Leo's
think Leo's
That's right.
adjusted to not being able to blow everybody out, and he's
Yeah,
boxing
yeah.
a lot better nowadays too.
Yeah, but what's Leo Santa Cruz done since? He's kind of been sniffing his own farts ever since that. Carl Frampton's been
But it's
like
a bit-
his best win.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's a bit of
I
a
agree
twisted
to
up division, though, to get fights, I think.
Well, I mean, he only
Yep.
had one fight since the second one, which was Avila. So
But the thing is true. Like, would you rather have 2 or 3 fights and look like shite in 2 of them, or would you rather just have 1 fight and
But
pretty
the
much
problem
be-
is, getting the fight, because 2 of the belts are on the wrong side. Gary Russell Jr. is just a pure weirdo, isn't he? So he doesn't. No one knows what he's up to.
I don't even know why he
And
tried
then
to
the other
become a
guys are
champion.
kind of- the other guys are tied up, aren't they? In a
well, and if
trinity,
JoJo
those
beats
three.
Russell, then that shit goes to Golden Boy, and then who knows how that works out afterwards.
I think Nonito Donaire is literally tied up. But I think
right now, too, as we speak.
anyway, I'm
tied
gonna
up,
drop
being
that.
tied up, and being made to watch Frampton fights.
Frampton's got some unique moves. I will give him that. He's got this kind of reverse hook that he does where he leaves a hand out and then he kind of slingshots into a hook. You should trademark. He's got some cool moves, but he's another one who's kind of. He had a spark. He had momentum behind him, but he's kind of. He's had promotional issues and stuff, and he's kind of the momentum that his career had is gone. But he used to have, I said earlier I made a little bit of a mistake that the fight was in Belfast. Obviously, it was in New York, but he used to have a large kind of travel and support that would find him anywhere, go anywhere with him. I don't know. I didn't really get that kind of aura of that fight. Maybe Dan could tell us more, but I didn't really see any kind of enthusiasm from that crowd for that fight. I think the enthusiasm for Frampton is gone. I think the spark is gone. I think Leo Santa Cruz has kind of took a bit out of him, and Leo Santa Cruz beats him every day. Like the fucking blueprint how to beat Frampton's there. Do I think he beats Lee Selby? Yeah, but I think Lee Selby's overrated. I've always thought that. I think Valdez, if he chooses to trade with Frampton like he did fucking the Manchester fighter whose name forgets me.
Scott Quigg?
Scat Quag.
Scott Quigg. Yeah, I think Valdez would come into trouble, but I think if you box Frampton, and if you're bigger, you're taller, you're stronger, you've got a chance to win.
Chew, did you
Dude,
watch
Valdez doesn't box, Chew. When have you ever seen Valdez box? Well,
Nah, but he's got it in him.
no, he doesn't.
Nah, he's got good
No, he does.
fundamentals.
No, he doesn't, man.
Yeah, he does. Man.
His stance, his positioning, the way he pushes his jab out there, he can't box. He can't outbox Scott Quigg. I mean, he can't outbox Frampton for 12 rounds. No way.
We'll put money on it when it happens.
He can
Oh, yeah,
outslug
absolutely.
him.
Easy. He can't even outslug him. That's not smart to outslug with Frampton. He's gonna
he can.
clip him. In the no.
Valdez hits harder than Frampton.
Yes.
When's the last guy Valdez stopped, man? Was it Mariaga?
He came close to stopping Quigg's overweight ass, who came in intentionally overweight.
No, I picked
Closer than Frampton did.
That's-
He came a lot fucking closer
Just
than
going
Frampton. I'll
back
tell you
to
that.
Leo Santa Cruz show. Who else can box? Who else has Leo's frame and can actually box like Leo can in that weight division?
He's only 5'7".
That's
Leo
huge
Santa
for
Cruz
that
is
big
only
man.
Yeah, but
He was
Valdez
80
is
to
what
90
5'6".
punches around.
I mean, the big thing about Frampton is the jab, and if you're taller or longer, you're gonna have problems. Frampton's gonna have problems against taller, longer guys, even if it's an inch or two. I think Frampton's lost it a little bit. And I mean, why would you fight a shot in there? What's in it for him? I wasn't enthusiastic about that fight. I've always knew Nonito's been not a shot, but he's been.
On the
He's
decline.
just a name. He's just a name.
Yeah.
And I'm not impressed.
Chu, just quickly, you said something before about the crowd. I think you must have had your laptop on mute or something, because I agree it wasn't like a vintage Belfast Frampton crowd, but it was a pretty enthusiastic, loud, entertained crowd, I thought. Chu?
Dan, you were there, were you not?
No.
For which fight?
This
This fight
Belfast.
was in Belfast.
This fight was in Ireland.
Yeah. I mean, I was at his fight with Leo, but no, I didn't go to this fight, buddy.
I'm confused. I'm listening to this, right? Right, so this fight was in Belfast. Right, okay,
Yeah,
forget it.
at the SSE.
Well, I was listening to the crowd and I didn't really hear much.
All right. Anyone else regarding Frampton, Denair, or just Frampton direction in general, or shall we move on?
Who does he fight next? Like, is a Valdez fight even plausible? Is that tenable?
It's
It'll
mostly
be the winner of.
Well, because Frampton won the interim WBO belt, so technically he'd be the mandatory for Valdez unless
Mandatory.
Valdez moves up.
But it's going to be Selby or Warrington winner.
Yeah, it seems like he's going to fight late summer, Dan, in hopefully stadium fight in Belfast against the winner.
That was
would make
that was
the most
funny.
sense.
That was
That'd
funny,
be
Cam, because they were always doing talking about the venue and not who they're going to fight.
Yeah,
It was weird.
classic BT Box Nation.
Yeah, BT is shot to shit.
Anything else?
No, man.
I don't really think we need to go down an undercard. You know, Tete was classic Tete, fair enough. Oman Awaez was very negative, but you just have to start putting your punches together and maybe get the ref to, stop it or do something. Because when you're so much better than the guy, then there's no excuse for you to just kind of go with that slow pace and kind of not do much. Rest of it
Tete
coming.
is good going backwards, but he has trouble cutting off the ring.
Yeah, that's true. But no, a lot of blame has to go to Narvaez, to like you're mandatory challenger, so it's not like you just kind of been given an opportunity as a voluntary. You're mandatory for that.
Bad
No,
matchmaking.
for sure. I'm just saying in terms of the explosiveness of Tete that a lot of people are expecting to see after Paul Butler. Yeah, he has trouble cutting off the ring. He had trouble against Villanueva, and he had trouble again here against Narvaez.
Yeah.
I mean, he won the fight handily, but he didn't. It was when things aren't going his way, he can't force them to go his way like some other fighters can.
Yeah. Cummings Keeler was a fun fight. Cummings is technically just very basic, man, and Keeler was. I'm surprised how well Keeler did, to be honest. Just countering him all night with his kind of counter right hands and left hooks, and Cummings is very basic, just walking into range and then just getting hit. But yeah, overall, not the greatest undercard. But let's move on to the return of the King Khan. Leon, start with you. Not much to watch, but
Nothing to watch.
Legaco.
That guy was just so bad. Like, I was shocked how bad he was.
I was thinking about it. Do you think he just kind of got caught, off guard? As I say, because a lot of people take the first round as a kind of, ease into the fight, and I think he just caught him off guard.
Maybe he did catch him off guard, but I mean, like this guy is. How many rounds did he go with Porter? Like quite a long.
The full, didn't he?
Yeah, he went the distance with Porter.
Isn't that
Porter's
no? That's
so
what
bad.
I was just gonna ask you guys. How the fuck did this guy go the full 10, 12, or how many rounds with Porter? That is
Porter's
mind-boggling.
Shit. But so maybe we should be giving Khan more credit. I don't know, but he done a fantastic job. But that guy was so wide open, wide open.
Stoppage
So-
was
Looks like
fair,
the
or
lightweight.
could have Leon? What about the stoppage?
Yeah, he was done.
I think the ref could have let him get up and looked in his eyes. I don't like these kind of stoppages when you don't know how they're going to react after they get up. So
He's all twisted up in the ropes. So I think it looked really bad. So the ref just did a UK, take safety first, like all UK.
UK stoppage.
Yeah, just UK everything, just safety. So I think being caught up in the ropes made it look a lot worse.
yeah. Chew.
But yeah, fair play to Khan. He still looked like he had decent hand speed. the biggest disappointment was Goosen wasn't wearing denim.
I know. Come on, man. They could have got.
I mean, I was devastated.
They could have got the whole Khan gear should have been in denim. To be fair.
With the big AK logo in denim.
Yeah.
What, like
that's a good
denim
look.
boxing boots?
Oh, that's classic.
It's
Someone
sick.
should do that.
Amazing.
Chew, what did you think of the return of the King?
King Khan. Still the fastest hands in the game, as Leon just said. He's got so fast hands, so fast.
The crowd was lit as well. I was impressed.
I was impressed as well. I'm King Khan is back. He's came out of the jungle a better fighter. And he's carried the hand speed up the weight classes. And Le Greco, let's be honest, he's a bum.
Yes.
He carried it up to the 150-pound weight class.
I mean, he doesn't have to fight at the weight class that normal average fighters fight at. He can make his own weight class because he's got such a cachet in the boxing game that he doesn't have to go to the weight class that you fight at. He will make his own, and he will do a very good job at that. Le Greco will probably shoot a 15-minute documentary on YouTube about those 50 seconds. Those 50 seconds of greatness in the ring with King Khan. As the fight went, I mean, I knew instantly, first 10 seconds, Le Greco, bum. Bum, budder, bum. And as soon as Khan hit the first combo, I thought, whenever you want, Khan, just take him out. I've got things to do. We've got podcasts to record. I've got a lot of fights to watch. Fuck, he done it quick. I was actually messaging Cam, and I was like, Cam. And I was like, Cam, man, you look fucking good there. But Cam was like, man, this guy's a fucking bum. And I was like, yeah. Yeah, and what the more interesting thing, and this is always happening in matchroom fights, is the guys get into the ring, you know, Kell Brook gets into the ring, they have this fucking squash match.
Cringy.
It just builds, it is cringy, and it just builds up to the next one. I'm starting to get a wee bit bored of the matchroom template of bum fight, squash match. Get the guy you should have been fighting into the ring and build it up that way. It's kind
But
of
they didn't let
now.
Wilder in, did they? They wouldn't let Wilder in the ring.
They don't want Wilder anywhere near Joshua, Leon. You know that.
Yeah, it's true.
And you know they want to feed the fucking Povetkin to Joshua Wilder. But I mean, Khan has always had talent. Is just whether or not he can take the other guy's punch. I actually think Brook versus Khan, speed against timing, great fight. Who's the more shot? Who knows? I'd love to see it still.
Yeah. Neota, your thoughts on the 40 seconds, and also what he thinks next? I saw Khan saying he thinks a fight with Adrian Broner would be good, or I think the template is maybe another fight and then hopefully Brook. But just from I don't know if you saw the post-fight, it's just from his answering of the questions, man. I still don't think this fight's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, Khan blew Le Greco out. I mean, pretty impressive win. Looked more explosive than he has since he was first on the come-up. You know, knocking a couple of guys out in the first round.
More
as he
explosive
did
than his
way back when.
Skype sessions.
Yeah, yeah, seriously. Probably it was a lot shorter than those two, but yeah. I mean, to be fair, going back to Porter though, that was a Sean Porter that was dropping around Alfonso Gomez and Julio Diaz. So to see him go the distance with the Greco isn't entirely surprising when you consider the way that Porter was trying to box back then, which was not to his own best attributes really. But I mean, Khan just went out there and blitzed him, just shocked him with the hand speed. And I think Le Greco pretty much it was that old Tyson adage of everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. And once he got hit in the face, that shit went out the window, and so did his any chance of him winning the fight, and also any confidence in himself of winning the fight. So yeah, Khan blitzed him. You know, we'll get to the Broner Vargas fight a little bit later, but I'd like that fight. You know, they're both inventing their own weight classes, so maybe they could invent like 148.5 or something to fight each other.
Sounds like a radio station.
Yeah, it does. It does, playing all the hip hop hits of the 80s. And maybe Canelo can be in the crowd and call out the winner. And fight them at 162.5. That's the rival station.
Do you think that he came in at? So you're did he come? I didn't realise he came in overweight because I didn't watch any of that stuff. So he came in overweight, did he? Or
it was a catch weight at 150.
150. Do you think they're doing that catch weight at 150 because that's where they're going to end up fighting Brook?
I think that's the idea, that they want to make the argument like, oh no, Brook has to come.
They're putting it out there, just letting that happen. Like,
but Leon, don't you think it'd be more positive for Khan to fight at 147? I think he could still make 47, so why not train Brook?
Just for the lulz of making Brook do it, like after all this stuff, and then he drains himself yet again. Like, that'd be fucking hilarious because, you know, I think
150 is where Khan feels comfortable from a personal standpoint for him.
The other thing is,
that's why he chose it.
Hearn is fully Team Brook, isn't he? Like, whatever you say. So he's he's kind of holding quite a bit of the power here. So he's going to do whatever it takes to get Brook as many advantages as possible.
Yeah.
Or not advantages, but claw back some of the advantage. Because I think Khan's the A side, but he has the ability to claw some things back for him.
Yeah.
So that's all it is.
Leon, I don't know if you saw, like...
And Hearn's been on the Brook diet. Have you seen the fucking state of him?
Oh, he's enjoying life, bro. Nothing wrong with that.
He's fucking massive. I can safely say that because I've lost a lot of weight recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But if you were still fat, you wouldn't say it then, would you?
I know exactly. But now I'm nearly at fighting weight, Cam.
Oh shit.
Oh shit.
People better watch out. But quickly, Leon, did you see the footage after the ring antics when Caldwell was asking Brook about if the only stipulation was that he had to make 147 and the fight would happen, and then Brook said he could make it, but then since the Spence fight they were saying he had to drain himself. So it's just, they say whatever they want whenever they want. Like, half the shit I don't believe. Like, if you could make it, then why were you complaining after the Spence fight? Was that's the only reason you lost the fight? Because, you know, you killed yourself making weight.
Yeah. Because he's another candidate. There's another village missing another idiot. He doesn't know what he's saying. He can't remember what he said 20 seconds ago, Brook. Like, I mean, they shouldn't let him out there to talk to people.
There's a lot of idiots missing, aren't there?
Yeah, lots of them. But I think he'll do whatever it takes to get that fight. He's obsessed. Like, he must believe he wins that fight so much that he'd be willing to put himself at disadvantages.
I mean, it's Errol Spence versus Amir Khan too, so you got to take that into consideration.
Well,
there you go.
Leon brings up a good point that you kind of told me, Lim, over the weekend, that you think, you know, even a 50% Brook kind of beats Khan.
I wouldn't. I did say that just because I revile Khan, but I do think a 50% version of Brook would lose to Khan. Maybe like a 55.7% version of Brook would be Khan, though.
Interesting.
Good percentage.
I do think Brook is substantially better than Khan at this point in his career.
I don't. I wonder what happened in Khan's life to make him want to take this fight now, because he's just done a 180. He's actually, as he said in the ring to Brook, "You're not chasing me, Brook. I'm chasing you." What happened to you, Khan? I thought you was going to do what Ricky Hatton did to Junior Witter.
True, he did say that, but then he ran out of the ring.
Well, I wasn't going to mention that to you, Khan, but I think if he carries that hand speed, he's dangerous for Brook for a couple rounds. But what happens when Brook times him? Who knows? He could take the punch. If Khan could take Brook's punch, I think that's a very, very close fight.
That's a huge if. Huge if.
I think Brook beats the snot out of Khan, man. I do. It's not even just about Khan taking his punch. I don't think Brook has power quite on the level of like Danny Garcia in terms of just being able to one-shot you. But I think he thuds in a much more consistent manner than Garcia does. Every shot of his can do cumulative amount of damage. And I think that he's physically much stronger than Khan. So unless he is weight drained at whatever Khan weight they decide to fight at, then I think he'd be able to just out-muscle Khan, just manhandle him the way that Lamar Peterson did, but even more emphatically.
Let me ask you a question. Who has Brook faced that's as fast as Khan? No one.
Matthew Hatton.
But you can say that. You can say that to every single one of Khan's opponents, though.
Yeah, that's true. Like Khan, whenever he's faced somebody as strong as Brook,
they outweigh his attributes so much that's just the reason why Khan isn't an elite level fighter anymore.
Khan has his critics, but he's so much well-rounded.
Brook is just well-rounded, dude. The guy's solid everywhere.
Yeah, but if you touch him with a feather, he might quit. But I've always wanted.
I don't know about
Brook
that.
to win.
I mean,
I'm
Spence
joking.
and Golovkin both crack much harder.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm joking.
Yeah, you know you're joking now.
I always wanted Brook to win that fight, but I don't know now. Like, I think I'll be happy because whoever, like, something burns to the ground, whoever loses. Like, so I'm happy with that fight to happen because I think I'll be satisfied with either guy losing. So
after
it should happen.
If this fight does take place, like, I'm sorry, Kim, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off there, buddy.
Go ahead. No, you finish.
No, I was just going to ask you guys, what would be the perfect venue for this fight if it does happen?
That's a good question. I think it does a small stadium.
Because Eddie was saying Wembley.
I don't think
is that too much?
Wembley.
Is that an over-exaggeration? And he said it would sell out in a second.
I don't know.
So they're talking about November. You can't do Wembley in November because it'll be fucking freezing.
It'd have to be Cardiff again.
It'd have to be a Cardiff, yeah.
Actually, when's that Spurs ground ready? Because that Spurs ground, they could do it. Because that's going to have a roof, isn't it? But I don't know when it's ready.
What's the capacity in that going to be?
Big, I think, 60, 70. That I don't know if that will happen now, but I think that stadium might come into play, for fights. But yeah, no, I reckon it just ends up at Manchester Arena, Cam.
It could, just 21,000
yeah, you know what I mean. Just
capacity.
sell it out, high prices.
Yeah,
you can see him doing that
any month of the year because it's an indoor venue.
Yeah.
But I was just going to say how badly Brook looked like a nugget after Khan said, he's chasing you and ran out of the ring, and then Kell Brooks just stood in the ring getting booed, just looking like a nugget in a.
He had a little waistcoat on, didn't he?
Yeah, snooker player.
He looked like a little fat snooker player.
Chocolate brownie.
Chocolate brownie.
He piles it on, doesn't he? In between.
I'm 5'4". Come get it, boy. You're next.
All right. And
Khan's so fast that Brook can't catch him even after the fight.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I would say in a 100-meter dash, Amir Khan would probably beat him by 50 meters pretty easily. Brook is a fat fool.
It depends. If there was someone chasing him with a machete, I reckon Brook would move pretty fucking sharpish.
I still think Khan would beat him by 20 meters in that situation.
Anyone else regarding Khan, Brook, terrible Le Greco? Or the undercard.
No, let me say my piece, man. Le Greco, a bum is too much of a service to his name. Le Greco is just whatever, like a vagabond, like at the age of 80 with a fucking beer, give me beer sign. Like him, the fight that I want to see is Le Greco versus Rod Salka.
Classic.
I was just going to mention him.
Like, imagine how great a fight that would be. Two of the bummiest fights on the planet right now. Let's do that shit pay-per-view, baby.
Yeah, man.
People pick Salka. Just let that be known.
My God,
People pick Salka. We know now. You know now.
Good old America first.
Why do fighters like Le Greco, who are smaller than their opponent, try to use a rangefinder jab? Like, he does that every single fight against guys who are 2 inches taller than him. Anyways, that's the last word.
He's a bum.
Bum. So let's move on. Yeah, we're going to talk about Conor the Destroyer.
I haven't got much to say about Conor until he rematches that French dude.
Fair play.
But I just wanted to give Tommy Coyle some props, man. He beat Sean Dodd. Dodd can't really kind of handle the counter right hands, man, and he just kept getting clocked clean, and eventually Coyle stopped him. But the rest of the undercard was pretty terrible. Natasha Jonas had she was kind of getting outboxed out times by this French woman, and then she landed a good shot, dropped her, and then the ref decided just to kind of call it off because maybe Natasha might have lost, so, team match room. But apart from that, nothing more to say.
Show's over.
Yep. Good night, guys. Thanks.
Have you guys. See you until 4 weeks later.
All right, Limmy. You were in the house in Brooklyn, Barclays, headlined by Jesse Vargas and Adrian Broner, but undercard-wise, you had split loyalties. You've got close with the Centeno family, Hugo and his dad and the rest of them, and obviously you're a member of Lions Only. So let's start with that fight first. Not much again to say. It was a bit of a weekend of quick fights.
Definitely. I was split. Half and half. I'm OHB Sports forever. Lions Only, H-Town, you dig. But at the same time, Hugo's a good dude. And it just sucks, man. How we throw the word bum out so lightly? Hugo, obviously, to us, looked like a bum on Saturday. But, if you ever see that dude kind of put in work, he's good. But it's just some people just don't have that ability, I think, to step up to the next elite level. And that's what Jermall Charlo is. And Hugo, he got a little confident. I think he threw a right uppercut earlier in that second round. And he thought he could just plant his feet and try to exchange a couple of punches with Charlo. I know the game plan was for him to throw 3 punches max and then move out. 3 punches was a limit. But he kind of sat in there for, I think, 4 in that exchange. And Charlo's a beast, man. His technique is fucking beautiful, man. The way he was able to shorten up that left hook on the inside, for him to be able to recognize that and change the angle of that punch is elite level. The way he throws that right hand, the way he circles out and pivots and just rotates it right as he's landing on Hugo's chin. That's world class again. I think we need to be a little bit patient with Charlo in terms of crowning him as a top 3, top 5 middleweight. I mean, the guy's fought nobody at 160, which is not his fault. He just hasn't had the ability to fight upper level opposition at that weight class. But I think he's the goods. I mean, he's 27 years old. He's young. He's fly. He's good looking. He's got nice hair. It's a takeover, baby. Let's go. Let's get it.
Who's next? Who next? Chew, did you watch this fight?
I want to see Jacobs, man. I want them to strip Gennady Golovkin for not fighting Derevchenko. I want the IBF to strip him. I want fucking Jacobs versus Charlo, who are rated number 2 and 3 at that weight class. I want to see that shit in Brooklyn, man. That'd be a fucking incredible
Charlo's
fight.
not rated by the IBF anymore, though, because he's the interim WBC champion now.
Some bullshit, man. That's why this sport is all fucked up. But that's a fight that I want to see, because everybody else is, I think, kind of tangled because of the Canelo situation, obviously. So people are in shambles, and that's the only fight that makes sense. And the fact that they're fighting a week apart from each other, you have to make that fight. It's the only fight that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Chew?
Yeah, I thought Hugo Centeno fought statically with his chin in the air like a statue, like he was on Mount Rushmore, and he got blitzed. And Jermall Charlo is a beast, and he is top 5 middleweight. Who could beat him? Golovkin, maybe. Saunders, maybe. Everyone
Canelo.
else, nah.
Andrade. No, I think he's top 5, but he's not top 3. What I'm saying is that he still has a lot to prove at that weight division. I mean, he fought Highland, then he fought Hugo Centeno on 160.
He has the skills. He doesn't have the achievements yet.
We'll talk about that. I'll let you guys burn first, but there's just certain things that I still want to see from Jermall, but I'll let you guys all burn first, and then I'll bring it up later.
There wasn't really much to say about the fight other than I'm quite interested in Charlo's evolution as a puncher. He's kind of stalking his prey, he's picking his punches, he's walking guys down. I would never have figured that out looking at his early career. You know, he went from boxer to puncher to predator. He's just a beast now, and he's an exciting fighter. And they've got a buzz about them, you know, Lions only. And I really think that the momentum that he's carrying will take him right to the very top.
You ordered that Lions Only t-shirt, Chew?
It's coming. It's definitely coming. I am a member, and I'm proud to be a part of the Pride.
It's in the post.
Lions only.
Leon,
It's
what did you think of the 2 rounds? Leon. Neota, what do you think?
No, I'm here. I'm here. Sorry, I've muted. Sorry. Sorry. No, I thought
Go ahead.
Charlo looked like a bit sloppy in that first half of that first round. Like he threw a couple of big wild left hooks, didn't he? And looked a bit weird. But then he got it done, and he is really good. I was wondering, when I first watched it, I wondered if that one of those shots was right to the back of the head, but I saw it from another angle and it wasn't quite. But
kind of behind the ear.
Shook him up. That's a horrible place to get hit, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like when he landed that first right hand, it was kind of just kind of behind the ear. But I think that sweeping left hook across the face did most of the damage, and then obviously the second right hand at the back.
That
of
was
the ear
right on the point of the chin, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they were beautiful shots.
Yeah.
I always thought it was a bit of a mismatch, this, and I do feel a bit bad for Hugo, man, because I don't think he's really at the level of Charlo, but that's
He looks a weight division below as well, didn't he?
Yeah.
And the other guy, I really like it. I want him to fight like loads of. There's some good fights for him to have, and I really like him, but I can't get on board like full Lions only stuff like. Outside of the ring, like they're just they look like a pair of extras from like House Party, like Kid and Play's mates. They're just a pair of weirdos. They're a pair of fucking bimbos. Like they got nothing to fucking say for themselves. It's like celebration of ignorance. Is like that's what that shit's about. Like I think they're
Swag,
rubbish.
bro. Swag.
It's just like fucking really horrible stuff, man. Personally. But yeah, he's really good, and I want him to win fights and stuff. But all the rest of the shit, like, I'm not on board with all that stuff.
Hey, Leon, let me ask you a question. How would you favor Jamal versus Billy Joe Saunders?
I don't know. Like, I think Billy Joe was very good against Lemieux, but like he got a whole heap of praise for beating that guy, and people call him trash. So I don't know how much we put in that win. It was like sensationalized to be this big kind of earthquake performance, but he just outboxed a guy who can't box, really. Where I think Charlo can box, and I think that's what Chu was saying. I think it was really interesting. Their career was really interesting because we always thought they were quite dull and quite measured, weren't they? Mm. And they kind of still are, but they've got their kind of ring craft about them a bit. So I think, to be fair to them, the people have done a really nice job with their careers because they have always been making good steps. And yeah, so to answer your question, I think he beats Billy Joe Saunders. But Billy Joe's got a good chin, so but I think there's a chance he could knock him out or stop him.
That is controversial.
No, I don't know if it is controversial. I just seen Billy Joe in some horrible messes in fights, and I think the Lemieux win was a little bit, pumped up a little bit too much. But it was a good win. He looked really good doing it. But
I think the Saunders on his game without box Charlo.
Yeah. But I think Charlo's got...
Can't dunk on this fool, bro. Get him out of here, bro.
I think Charlo's got two... I think Charlo's got a bit more to switch between two styles, like a bit more ability to be able to change things.
I think he cuts the ring off better as well.
Always on the move, running. Yeah.
I think the power would be the X factor.
Billy Joe's got a great chin, though. We've all seen
Jamal
that.
did get outboxed in a lot of spots against Austin Charlo. It was a really close fight. He got tagged quite a bit against J-Rock until he knocked him out. And
I think he's not so good at cutting off. Sorry.
Yeah, he dropped the first round to Centennial. Centennial won the first round against him.
Yeah, but come on,
until Centennial. Centennial decided to stand in there and try to catch him, like Lim alluded to earlier. that he got caught, and he allowed Jamal to make that power work for him, and he finished the job. You know, the Charlos are definitely excellent finishers, probably two of the top finishers in the game, very much so, and very high tier offense, pound for pound. I'd say their offense is on that level where once they get started, it's hard to dissuade them from doing what they're doing.
I like the Charlos. They're salty as fuck. That's what you need in boxing.
They are salty.
They are. No wonder they are.
I can respect that. I
The thing about Jamal though is, he had a lot to say until Daniel Jacobs got in his face, and then all of a sudden he
true.
He went quite quiet. Kittens only.
Jermell is a lot more out there and brazen than Jamal is. Jamal is definitely the more kind of reserved of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jermell definitely was very brazen after Lara finally lost, and Jarrett Hurd became the man of the division.
But I mean, they're unique. They don't have a publicist behind them telling them what to say and what to do. They are their own people. You know, you see that in the ring and outside the ring, and I think that's refreshing. I'm a fan.
Yeah, that shit. We need that in boxing, man.
Well, absolutely do.
And this whole weight division is just so fucked up right now. And I was looking over at Errol's career too. When Errol was mandated to fight Kell Brook, he didn't fight until he got that Kell Brook fight. He didn't take a in between fight. So my concern is that if Jamal doesn't get that Golovkin shot with all the shit that's going on with Canelo, we might not see him in the ring for another year in his prime, and that's a travesty. You dig?
That's true.
You dig?
Yeah, I dig.
We dig, man. We dig.
They should make that Jacobs fight. That Jacobs fight should happen.
It needs to happen, man.
That's a great fight.
I know we'll talk about Hurd later, but I seriously think, I'm not trying to pump the Charlos too much right now, but I think the Charlos can be in the two best fights of this year. Charlo versus Hurd and Charlo versus Jacobs. Those are fucking
theoretically
titillating matchups.
If the WBC was fully behind the idea of stripping Golovkin, I don't think they will, but if in theory that would happen, or at the very least, he has the interim belt, so technically that's a WBC title anyway. So fuck it, just make Charlo versus Jacobs. Just make Jacobs the mandatory for the interim belt then. In that case, have it for the Diamond, Emerald, Super Ruby belt. You
get that Super Swag belt. I got you.
Pokemon Sapphire belt.
I don't see why you would punish Golovkin for something that wasn't his fault by taking the fucking belt away. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, because you know why? Because Cleanello, #Cleanello, and because Saul Alvarez was he truly won that first fight, and are you
kidding me?
He is the A side.
I think he's trolling here, but I think the reason why I suggested the IBF earlier is that they actually have a valid reason to strip him for not fighting Derevchenko in this fight.
And there's like over 100 fighters that aren't even on the clean boxing program. So Cleanello.
Just to play devil's advocate, and I'm being sincere with this devil's advocate, why would Golovkin fight Derevchenko when everyone in boxing around about those weight classes for years have been ducking Golovkin? Now he's the money maker. Now he's the draw. Now he's got to fight the fucking first guy who comes up. Fuck that shit. So that you're playing the hypocrisy role both ways then? No, he's got a money fight there with Canelo. He's going to fight in September. Why would you take the toughest fight out there
does he, though?
for the littlest money?
Then just don't fight. That's the either or proposition I'm subscribing to.
You take a stable fight.
Don't fight. Don't take fucking Martirosyan, man. It's that simple. We'll talk about that later. So.
No, just quickly, because I want to be around later. But I think he should take that fight because that's what we expect of him, and so that's for me. That this fight that he's having now with Martirosyan is not good enough. It's just not. Yes, it's not good enough, and it is fucking Canelo's fault, and it's all a horrible mess. But I also sick of hearing about it. Either fight someone good or don't fight. That's not good enough. You're a beast. You've sold us this shit. It's fucking ugly to see, man. But I am really bored of it. We should get back to the other card, but the whole thing's just horrible.
It's just don't fight. Don't fight a junior middleweight off a 2-year layoff. It's that simple.
Just don't.
I think Golovkin should be punished for that terrible Jordan advert with Sanchez is a terrible joke about eating steak, man.
No, I thought that ad was incredible trolling.
I thought it was a bit.
fantastic.
I thought it was a bit corny, to be honest.
It was cheesy, man.
I'm
He is cheesy though, isn't he?
Bruh,
They're
but
both
it takes
cheesy.
it takes a special ingredient.
Anyway, anyone else regarding Charlos and Centeno? Should we move on to Tank Davis?
Let's move on, man.
All right, Lim, what do you think of Tank Davis's performance against Jesus Cuellar?
Thought it was good. He's talented. Obviously, he was fighting off another guy off of what, like a year and a half, 2-year layoff, coming up a weight class in Cuellar. But when you see Tank fight, you see he has the goods. His combinations are crisp. His shots are short and precise, and his hook to the body is fucking beautiful. And he's just he knows how to fight, man. Like, plain and simple. Is he ready for Lomachenko? No. But is he an elite level prospect? Yes. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I saw kind of bits of what got me excited when he faced Pedraza, and he's shown it against Cuellar. But Chu, what did you think?
Yeah, I was talking to you, Cam, just before the fight, and I was like, I don't know, man, Cuellar looks hungry at the weigh-in. And then you were like, oh, maybe he's just literally hungry. Yeah, at the weigh-in, after the weigh-in, yeah. I don't know, it's just, I can't really judge Tank Davis on that fight because Cuellar was just overmatched in the wrong weight class. He looked a little bit kind of shell-shocked after the first round. I thought Davis's body shots in particular were really nice. He kind of got like a kind of mixture of Mayweather, a little bit of Kirkland in there, the way he's walking him down with a southpaw stance, looking to knock him out. He's like a technical knockout artist, and I've always got time for those. He is a beast, but, beat someone first before I get on board.
Do you think he would have any success in a possible fight against Lomachenko?
No chance. No chance, not at the moment, if he's given time to evolve and the ball them up nicely. But, the Mayweathers have got a really poor record of the fighters coming through that kind of gym, stable, promotion, whatever you want to call it. I mean, they've had so many flops, from actually Theo Payne onwards, that it's kind of like, it's almost like a curse. He might be the one to break that curse, but who knows? I just don't see, I don't see anyone beating Lomachenko. The only one who's going to beat Lomachenko is Lomachenko by fighting on too long or going up a weight class too high. But anyone Lomachenko's size loses.
Yeah.
Comfortably.
Naota, what did you think? And do you want to touch upon what Loco in the mix of the chat's talking about, the WBA just messing about with their belts again?
Sure. I'll touch on that after I talk about the performance. The performance was really good. I thought that Cuellar might be able to give Davis some trouble if Davis wasn't mentally, psychologically ready for this fight. As some of the blogs and all that, the headlines might lead people to believe because of a lot of the drama going on behind the scenes between him and Mayweather and Broner and Charlo and all that stuff. But I mean, he looked ready. He looked definitely ready to fight as soon as that fight started. Cuellar, he fights the way that he does. Cuellar's not an elite fighter, and he was always a guy that used the fact that he was huge as a featherweight to his advantage. And even against guys that were still smaller than him, in Oscar Escandon and Abner Mares, that didn't work. Abner Mares pretty comprehensively outboxed him, dropped him, and Escandon stomped him. He actually made him quit. So Davis, I'm sure, probably watched those fights, saw that he quit largely by virtue of body shots. Once he went to the body, I mean, it was all academic from there. Davis is definitely a high-level puncher, a lot of snap, but also a lot of thud in the shot as well. That the body work was actually pretty impressive. If he's able to commit to doing a lot of that in the fights going forward, I'd actually give him a pretty solid shot against almost anybody, including a Lomachenko. But to touch on the WBA situation, the real WBA champion at super featherweight is Alberto Machado. It is not Gervonta Davis. the WBA bullshitted and I guess made it so that Alberto Machado, in knocking out Jezreel Corrales, who was the man of the division, not Lomachenko, Jezreel Corrales was the man of the division. And when Machado knocked him out, he deserved to have, at the very least, their full WBA championship. But no, they handed off to another fighter who has better connections, not unlike the way Lomachenko has better connections than some of these other guys that he could have fought and didn't. But Davis has better connections, so apparently he's now the WBA kingpin, even though the real uncrowned king is Alberto Machado. And I would like to see that fight because I don't think Machado is necessarily head and shoulders a better fighter than Davis, but his win over Corrales is more emphatic than anything that Davis has done up to now.
Naota, WBA streamlining the belts though.
Oh yeah. They're unifying, and the last I checked, the last unification was about a year ago. So, go figure.
Classic WBA. Leon, did you see this fight?
No.
I thought you said you saw the Tank Davis fight.
No, I didn't.
All right.
It's on my up next. It's up next.
All right, Leon. We're gonna talk about Vargas Broner, but we'll give you a little chance to speak upon some of the fights that happened since the last show, because I know you got to go. So we're not going to interrupt you. Just give you your thoughts and then.
Yeah. I just think I really, really enjoyed that Hurd Lara fight. I thought it was fantastic. Like Hurd's really good, and like I always thought he was a bit limited, but if he has with his limitations, he's still able to beat really, really good guys. It doesn't matter if he's limited, does it really? And I love a fighter who tests another fighter's will. Like, are you willing to fight? Like, you can have all the skill in the world, but are you willing to fight? Because I'm going to be here for 12 rounds. That's the impression I get from him. And he took a unification fight straight away after winning the belt, pretty much, didn't he? Maybe did he have one in between? Or was it straight off the bat?
I thought Trout.
Yeah, for Trout in the ladder, no?
Yeah, well, that's good. That's a good run. Better than what most people do. And he also fought the boogeyman, the man who's been saying for years, oh, everyone's running from me, no one's going to fight me, even though he's had big fights and just have to lose against Canelo and stuff. Like, he's not that avoided. It's just that he happened to be fucking bros with people who held belts. So this idea of this boogeyman is just nonsense, and I was over the fucking moon that Hurd put that shit to bed, and I'm fully on board. And for people who are saying, oh, he's a freak, he's too big, he's a weight bully, like, I've never seen him look drained or uncomfortable making that weight at any weigh-ins. I'm not saying I've seen loads, I've maybe seen 3 or 4, but I've never seen him look like he's had any issues at all. Has he missed weight ever?
No.
160.
He was 163. He was 163 fight morning.
So all that argument is fucking bullshit. It means it's like completely invalid. That is a fighter who looks like he healthily makes a weight. So that's fine. Like, I don't see that as an issue. It's not his fault. He's like athletically gifted. Thank you, Nelson. Thank you. Like, that's not his problem, is it?
Leon, do you think Hurd won that fight?
Yeah. It was close, but he won it. Like, Lara fought really well. I'm always trolling a bit with the Cubans, but Lara fought really well, and but it took a guy to take the fight to him to make him show his best. And I think he's avoided using his best for so long, or testing his best for so long, that this is what happens. You get someone who has tested himself and is willing to stay and trade and keep going. And he stood up well, but in the end, he made him fold. And I think that's Hurd's game plan, isn't it? It's like, I'm gonna make you quit. Not maybe not quit, but like mentally and physically
break you down.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a great. Yeah, he's really good fun.
Early prediction, Charlo Hurd.
Oh,
For Leon?
I'm gonna fuck it. I'm going with Hurd. Just because that engine is like that's a legit engine.
It's a terrific fight, though, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic fight. Like,
That might be a fight of the year.
yeah. Like, I know some like people have said he is like I was saying people say he is limited, but he is limited. But it's like he's willing. His willingness to fight is what could make it, is what could clean up this division for him.
He's limited technically, but when it comes to stamina, endurance, physical strength, the limits aren't
The mental
quite
thing.
there.
Yeah.
The limits aren't quite there. The guy, a lot of people forget boxing is a physical sport. And sometimes if you're just a physical dynamo, even if you lack the technique, even if you lack the scientific craftsmanship, even if you lack, that minute attention to detail of every angle and every bit of timing being perfect, sometimes you could just be an absolute, physical monstrosity in there and just be able to take whatever the opponent gives and wear him down and outlast
He's a
him,
fighter,
outwork
isn't
him,
he?
outfight
He's not a
him,
boxer. He's a fighter.
Yeah, outstrong them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's the
And I love the
definition
fact,
of a fighter.
going back to it, it's like, Lara was like, oh, everyone avoids me, no one wants to fight me. He's like, I'll fight you.
Yep.
It's like, I'll fight you. No issues. This fight just got made. Didn't hear any
He has a
bullshit
fighter's
from him.
mentality.
Just,
He has a
yeah.
fighter's mentality.
Um,
Even as Lara was tagging him early in that fight, he never looked like oh shit, this is gonna go bad for me. He
knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, he had that mentality like, okay, this happened. Well, the next round I'm gonna do better. The next round I'm gonna do better, and that's exactly what he did.
But see, you know what you're saying about that Tyson quote? Oh, everyone's got a plan until you get hit in the face. Well, if your plan is, I'm not worried. I know I'm going to get hit in the face. Like that's an advantage. Like he knows he's going to get tagged.
Yeah, it's
like,
an
he's ready
advantage
for that.
It's an advantage until you get brain damage.
No, that's
Exactly.
true. That's true.
That's
true.
But I was going to say it's an advantage until it's not. Until you meet somebody who has that game-changing power.
Yeah,
and is that
I'm just
Jermell
talking
Charlo?
about-
I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know.
But I'm
I
just talking
think
about that
someone's gonna
mentality.
Sergio Martinez him.
But I'm talking about that mentality to be willing to fight. Like, I'm just saying that he's standing there getting punched in the face. It's just he knows what's going to happen. He knows
And to
he's
be
going
fair
into
too,
a fight.
I think his defense has improved as well. A lot of the shots that Lara was throwing after the first couple of rounds, once he went into super high guard mode, he has really fucking long arms for I guess his frame. So he's able to kind of cover up his body and his head at the same time. And he was catching quite a bit of what Lara was throwing on his gloves. Though he was still getting hit, of course, by Lara, a lot of the sting was taken off of those shots by virtue of it hitting his gloves before it finally hit his face.
Yeah, I
think
definitely
he's
agree
a
to
strong guy, like a strong guy. It's like when he's hitting you, everything's got some strength on it. Sorry,
and,
Cam,
going off of the athletically gifted, I mean, he's a freak of nature. Like I don't think he really struggles like crazy to make the weight. Yeah, he dehydrates like virtually everybody else, but I don't think he's like going to extra length to do the damn thing. But I think it's just a matter of he has so much muscle mass for a fighter of that weight class that he's able to dehydrate like that because your muscle is essentially filled with water when it's when it's at its maximum capacity, whereas fat you can't fill that with water. It is what it is. It's going to weigh the same regardless.
Sorry, Cam, I interrupted you. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, is there anything else? Because we've kind of pushed for time, and I know you were supposed to speak, and then Naota just took over.
Yeah, no. Okay, I'm going to say 2 seconds. Joshua Parker didn't come to win, I don't think, and Joshua didn't know how to win, how to get it done. I was disappointed.
And the ref was hopeless.
Yeah, the ref was just a joke. The whole thing, it was a shambles. That's what I'm saying, that Lara Hurd, that was the best fight on paper and the best fight in the last 4 weeks. That was the best on paper and it was the best fight. And I'm super high on that fight. I've watched it a few times. That was really good. And Lara gets credit for that. And on that note, I'll go.
Before you go, just quickly, Linares Lomachenko prediction.
Lomachenko to break him down, but I'd love to see if Linares can catch him early and do some work early. It could be really exciting. But if you said money, I'll go Lomachenko late stoppage.
Saddam Ali, Liam
Vanes
Smith.
Golovkin.
What's that?
Vanes Golovkin.
Ugh, I'm not even going to dignify that.
Saddam Ali, Liam Smith.
Oh, I think the Smith brothers are going to get a two-time world champion.
That must
No,
hurt saying that.
no, he's not. He's not. The other dude will win.
Hey, Belly
He is.
rematch.
Oh, come on now.
Jesus.
Hayes got to do it, right? Come on this time. I don't know. He's a cripple. Bellew will probably win it. And it's just, if I'm willing to just like accept he's going to win now, I can get over any depression that comes my way at a later date after the victory. Bellew to win.
All right. Thank you, Leon.
Nice one, guys. Speak to you soon.
Cheers. Take care.
Take care, man.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.
Lim, getting back to Barclays, let's talk about Broner versus Vargas. You were in the building. You kind of saw it differently because I know we were messaging each other, and I kind of thought Broner was getting the best of the earlier rounds, and you saw it a different way.
Well, I think most people looked at it like I did, and I'm not trying to be an asshole at all. Like, you know, I respect your opinion when it comes to scoring fights, but most people had the first 6 rounds for Vargas pretty handily. I think you had it, what, like 3-3? 3-3 for Broner? Or not, what am I saying? 3-3 tie or 4-2 for Broner in the first 6?
I think I had that 4-2 off the top of my head.
Yeah, so it was a fun fight, like I told you, Cam. I knew Vargas wasn't Vargas. Anyways, sorry about that. I don't know what I just did there, but Vargas, I was going to try to say Vargas with 2 S's or Vargas, like he gasses. I think both are pretty applicable. Vargas, he's not a volume puncher. Like, he's not your traditional Mexican fighter. Like, going in the amateurs and like growing up a prospect, like Vargas was a really highly touted prospect coming out of Vegas, but he was never known as a volume puncher. So I knew that he wasn't going to be able to sustain that level of activity after the first 6 rounds of the fight. And that's when Broner obviously had some pretty damn good success in the later rounds, you know, especially that, I don't know if it was the 8th or 9th round towards the end where Broner clipped him with that big ol', I forget which hand he landed the hook on Vargas, but Vargas just can't sustain that level of activity. And to me, I should have been closer to my guns in picking or thinking Broner was going to have success against Vargas. But I think I compared and similarized Mikey too much to Vargas when they're completely different levels apart. I watched the Mikey fight in the lead up to this fight, and it just shows you how good Mikey is compared to Vargas. You know, Mikey, when he throws a jab, first of all, he'll position the jab hand back to his chin, so Broner doesn't have the counter opportunities that he did against Vargas. And secondly, Mikey in that fight would always throw combinations because he knows Broner can't throw in between exchanges. You know, he's not a counter puncher who's adept at that kind of shit. He could only throw his shit when you're done throwing your punches, and that's why he had success against Vargas towards the end. And early on, when Vargas was throwing his jab, he would always follow it with the right hand, and Broner wouldn't do anything. But towards the end, when he got tired a little bit, he would throw that jab lazily, and he wouldn't follow up with anything, and that's when Broner countered him. So I thought it was a fun fight. These are both kind of C-level, B-minus level fighters, in my opinion. At this point, not having a loss is a win for Broner, which is really sad to say. A draw is considered a victory for this guy. And fair play to him, man. He's an entertaining dude, man. Like, I can't hate on that. I mean, think how fucking crazy it is. After sticking out the joint and losing 12 rounds to Mikey Garcia, you're headlining your next fight at the same damn arena as the A-side. Like, that's crazy. And he knows how to promote himself. He knows how to empathize with, you know, the retarded society that we live in today, with having fake beefs with fucking retarded ass rappers like Tekashi 6ix9ine, who has 69 tattoos and, you know, some random bullshit on his face. You know, he knows how to sell himself. So, you know, props to AB for that, I guess. But I mean, this guy's just an average level fighter, and he's going to go down in history as the worst 4-time 4-weight division world champion of all time. Like, it's crazy, but that's just kind of the way our boxing landscape is right now.
But Lim, the important question is, what was the small print in the bet between Tekashi and Andre? Like, is the money gone to charity, or no one giving anyone any money, man? Where's the 300K?
It beats me, man. All I know is that it was a good atmosphere, and you know, I got to give props to the Barclays Arena and to PBC. And I know we love to shit on PBC, and I don't think we've ever given them a compliment since we've been on air. But they've really created like a really strong community at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn for fights. You know, this fight did nearly 14,000 people in the arena at near capacity, and they've done those numbers for pretty much the last 3 or 4 fights, headlined by PBC. So they've done a really good job in promoting themselves, and the arena was definitely, you know, a very festive atmosphere.
Naota, what did you think of the headline?
I mean, it was a bit of a forgettable fight because, like Lim was talking about, Vargas. I personally also thought that Vargas kind of handily won pretty much the first half of the fight, and then he just tired out so bad in the back half. But even as Broner was winning those later rounds, I didn't necessarily see like that ebb and flow of tide, the shifts in who was winning at any given moment necessarily. There was a couple of good exchanges, you know, some good punches landed and everything, but it just seemed like, you know, especially as Vargas got tired, I think the weight class, you know, the Broner weight might have affected Vargas a little bit, due to the fact that he didn't seem to carry as much pop overall, and also in how badly he gassed out, which was even earlier than I've seen him do in the past. And, you know, Broner was, I think, landing some of the more flashy shots. But I also think that Broner, especially early on, was getting credit from a lot of people for shots that he actually wasn't even landing. I think they might have just stopped short. And a lot of people were thinking, like, oh, like that was a great shot from Broner, but it didn't even actually hit Vargas. And I think some of the proof was in Vargas, you know, pretty much responding immediately in return, like he hadn't been hit. But I did score the fight for Broner. I thought I had 7-5 for him. I'm not really mad at a draw because to me that was a drawish type fight, and honestly, I think Broner kind of took advantage of an opponent at his preferred weight, whatever that might be for Adrian at any given time. And you know, like Lim was saying, you know, these are basically 2 kind of B- level welterweights. I mean, where either of them goes from here is really anyone's guess. You know, Vargas has never been able to get over that hump to elite level, and neither is Broner. And but you know, Broner's still a big draw, so I'm sure they're gonna milk his name for all it's worth. His next couple of fights, whatever that may be, and then get him another big shot, a big opportunity at a high level guy, whether that's the Garcia Porter winner or even Thurman or whoever. You know, I think that's right up the alley for everybody involved, Broner and the other guys that I mentioned. But I mean, the fight was all right. It was what it was. It was Vargas with a higher work rate, Broner with the flashier shots. Whoever you judge to be the more effective in any given round was anybody's guess. And I thought Broner basically just nicked it. You know, at the very least, towards the end of the fight, it looked like it was going his way. But he started so damn late that I can't necessarily blame anybody for having it a draw as well.
Yeah, that 12th round was a fucking joke. I'll let you burn, True, but just one more thing that I want to say. That 12th round was a fucking joke, man. Both fighters knew that fight was close, and for them to kind of throw in that kind of, you know, nonchalant manner and not try to go for it was fucking ridiculous.
I don't know what fight you guys are watching. I thought JC Vargas got robbed. The only clear round that I gave Broner, clear round, not disputed round, clear round was the 9th round. That's it. Every other round that Broner could have won, Vargas was in. He could have won that. You could have gave him it. He won the first 6 rounds handedly. I didn't even think Broner landed a punch in the first 3. He probably did, but he wasn't even competitive in the first 3 rounds. 4th round, it was kind of back and forth. You could have gave it to Broner. 5th round, Vargas.
I did.
6th round. Well, you gave the 4th round to Broner?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could... I could have gave it to Vargas though. It was a close round.
Yeah, no, you could have definitely.
Anyway, the rounds. The point I'm trying to make is that the rounds that Broner won were swing rounds, apart from the 9th round. The rounds that Vargas won, he won decisively. But Vargas is on PADs. Look at his back.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the back knee, the neck knee, the ear knee, the fucking knee. It's just disgusting, man.
And therefore, you know, obviously us boxing fans don't like that shit, but therefore I was kind of actually hoping, you know, Broner could you know, come out with the win, but it didn't. Let's be honest, Broner came in good condition for this fight. He was ready. You know, he's got his trainer. I thought his trainer in the corner was giving him some good advice. You know, at the end, I think it was like the 10th, 11th round, the corner was screaming at him. knock him out, let his hands go, like his hands were like caged pigeons or something, screaming at him, but Bronner's not listening. And like, I think it was Lim alluded to, he just came out to the 12th round, both of them, like, with no kind of momentum, they were just cruising. And that just sums Bronner up. He just fights in a slow pace, he's waiting.
I think the last 2 rounds were like that, 11 and 12.
You know what, Shu? I would actually try to rebuke you right now, but the thing is, like, I give such a little shit about either fighters. Like, I don't even fucking care, man. You can say anything you want about these guys, and I don't even have the energy to try to combat that, because I don't give a fuck about either one of these guys. And the last thing that I want to see is a fucking rematch. Can you imagine this shit all over again, headlining a Barclays Arena? Like, get the fuck out of here, man.
I didn't mind the fight. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't like a fucking barn burner like the Showtime commentators were trying to make it out to be. I think Vargas's body shots were really kind of, that's what won him the fight to me. He's like, they were eye catching. You could tell he's been working with Mike McCallum. I think Bronner's left hook is so overrated. It's like an arm punch. And when he goes with, when he goes for the full torque left hook, he ends up on his ass half the time. You know, there was one moment in the fight where he missed so bad that he ended up on his face, and people were laughing at him.
That was Tyson Fury-esque.
And Bronner's I just want him to. It's too late. He's taking his career seriously now, but to me, it's too late. And any kind of goodwill that he earned in that fight with his post-match interview that he had, it was just it was cringy. He's just a cringy guy. Yeah, I don't like either guy. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Both of them.
I actually like Bronner more than Vargas. I don't give a fuck about Vargas, man. That guy should be counting his blessings every single day, because he's one of the luckiest fighters ever, man. To get all those paydays, to be that average of a fighter.
Yeah. Well, Lim Chu mentioned, Mike McCallum's advice in the corner. Who do you think Vargas' next coach is going to be? Because, he's bound to change again.
I think his next trainer is going to be Bivol dad, Mr. Miyagi.
Nah, I think it should be Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That'd be pretty uncomfortable.
Opponents in bed.
Jesus. Even I wasn't going to go that far, man. I just have too much respect for Asian women. I just put them like in this very like secret place in my mind. So I can't imagine Bronner with Rachel, but or Vargas with Rachel, excuse me. But yeah, I actually think Kevin Cunningham did a good job with Bronner, man. Like him pleading for Bronner to actually throw punches was pretty refreshing. But
I would love Virgil Hunter to take over that corner and just like whisper in his ear, like, let them go. Because that's all I heard for like 5 rounds in the corner, like, let them go.
Yeah.
Let what go? Your hands. Virgil Hunter needs to hypnotize him and just like
put him in the trance.
put him in the trance. Just get like a audio book. Just let them go. Just
let those strong hands go, dog. Let those gifted hands go.
Yeah.
Just let them go.
The Virgil Hunter.
But you know what, guys?
Virgil
like,
Hunter
I wouldn't mind.
ASMR audiobook.
I wouldn't mind a Bronner versus Khan fight.
I thought you were going to say you wouldn't mind a Bronner audio book.
No, they don't do kids' versions on Amazon.
I don't know what the fuck that was. True, but yeah. It'd be a bunch of like he it would actually be terrible. True, the timing, the actual pace of that audiobook would be horrendous. He would say like 4 words and take a 2-minute break, and then go, and then another 3 words.
You'd be waiting for the perfect moment to say the next word.
Like one of those children audiobooks would be like 12 hours long, just because there's so many pauses and gaps in between the words.
But children's book. That's awesome.
Just quickly, my opinion. Correcting myself, I did say to Dan earlier I had it 4-2. I didn't. I just checked my scorecard. I had it 3-3 going after the 6 rounds. But I don't know. Like from what you said, I saw the fight a bit differently. I do agree that Vargas started with a high pace, throwing lots of shots, but I don't think a lot of them were clean. I think Bronner was kind of catching a lot of them, slipping a lot of them. And I was saying to Dan over the weekend, it was kind of refreshing. And I'm not a Broner fan. I find it very difficult to give him compliments. I've never been a fan of his. But I do have to give him some props because I did see glimpses of the old Broner, you know, kind of walking Vargas down. I didn't really see that when I predicted how the fight was going to play out initially. I thought Vargas was going to be the aggressor and keep Broner on the back foot. I didn't really see Broner walking Vargas down because he's not done it as much lately. And he did it like he was kind of just picking off the jab and then throwing his right hand, left hook. And I just thought he landed the cleaner shots on Vargas. It was a closest fight, but a lot of the close rounds I gave to Broner, and Vargas did visibly decline in pace, and he just badly gassed out second half of the fight.
Absolutely. And one more thing, I think for me, the reason why I kind of thought this fight would be more competitive was because of subconscious racism. Again, watching the Mikey Garcia fight and then just kind of aligning Mikey with Vargas for some odd reason. I thought Vargas would somehow replicate, half of Mikey's performance. But again, like, I think I've been known kind of as a Mikey basher at times, but that just comparing those two fights made me realize how good Mikey is. And even if Mikey may have the more basic arsenal, just the way he's able to control fights from the first second of the bell to the last just kind of shows you the difference in class level, even if he's a weight class smaller.
It's funny you said that. I thought they did look similar. Like, literally, they physically look similar. Vargas and Mikey Garcia. They don't fight similar, but in the ring, and outside the ring, they don't look similar. But in the ring, I thought, that looks like Mikey Garcia. Well, obviously it wasn't. But Cam, that was a good point as well, that you're saying, Broner always walks his guy down, his opponent down. He's done that throughout his career. You need to give him credit for that. He's say what you want. He does like to go toe to toe.
Yeah.
So credit to that. He's got balls. I'll give him that.
He's a tough dude, but I think as much as I agree with your point, I think that's why he's so frustrating as well. On the flip side, is because even though that's his best attribute and that's when he's best, he still resorts to trying to do that shoe shining Philly shell type of bullshit, which he's just not good at. But I do give him full props for his balls, man. The way he was able to bounce back from those two knockdowns in the Maidana fight. Like, Broner's a tough son of a bitch, especially moving up a weight class in that fight. Like, I've never doubted Broner's heart. It's just he's just such a dumb person in and out of the ring. It's hard for anyone to root for him.
Yeah, I didn't really see much of the shoulder roll in this fight. He kind of had his hands very high.
Yeah, he did it for a couple of rounds. You are right, though. He did limit it.
You guys got anything else regarding this card?
No.
All right.
Nah.
Just the Charlo takeover, man.
Lions
Seriously.
only. Anyone want to talk
Lions
about?
Just one thing. Rasheed Warren got an easy decision win on the undercard, but forgettable opponent, so just stay busy. Basically.
Does anyone want to touch upon Francisco Vargas and Rod Salka? That's really a one-sided beatdown, but if you guys want to say anything, go ahead.
I just want to talk about the political implications of that fight and how Rod Salka is a stalwart representative of the Republican Party of Pittsburgh. And I could definitely see him having a very shining and astounding career in politics, maybe as the mayor, governor, representative, I don't know, senator of Pittsburgh or where the fuck he's from, I don't know. But in all seriousness, Rod Salka's a fucking bum. And how dare you wear those shorts against a guy who's that much better than you, man? Like, if you're actually somewhat decent, like, it would be somewhat more defensible. But the fact that you're such a fucking bum and you have the audacity to wear those shorts, the fuck out of here, man. Like, earlier I said, we shouldn't call any fighters bums because, I was with Hugo for like the training camp of this fight. And for me to see him get bashed like that was really hard to watch. But if you're going to be that brazen and that much of a dickhead like Rod Salka, then you deserve that title 100%.
So what are the implications of that fight? Is the wall not going to get built now?
Oh, none. I was just trolling, man. Rod Salka's a fucking bum. And immediately after that fight, I watched the Danny Garcia knockout like 10 times on YouTube.
Rod Salka, he apparently ran for House of Representatives back in 2016 and got completely destroyed, not unlike how he was against Danny Garcia and Francisco Vargas. So I'm not sure his career in politics will be as bright as Lim may have originally said that it would. But yeah, man, he got his ass kicked.
All jokes aside, though, why is El Bandito fighting Rod Salka?
I mean, honestly, I think it was just a fight that they happened to make. Salka decided to move down to 130, and actually, this was at 131. So, stay busy, fight for Vargas, and I guess some people out there thought that Salka might just be able to beat Vargas because he was bigger than him, but skills do pay the bills, and Vargas handily beat the crap out of him. Just was better in every way, pretty much. And even though he doesn't have that one shot power that Danny Garcia does, the guy's a very good boxer, and honestly probably one of the more underrated, underappreciated fighters in the sport today. I think really he just kind of ran into the wrong guy with Berchelt, a guy with a very similar style, but punches much harder than him. So it was just about class. At the very least, it was just a stay busy fight for Vargas, but he performed. There's a lot of guys that'll fight stay busy opponents like that, and go a lot of rounds or go the distance with them, and he took his guy out. Maybe he was a little bit angered by the trunks, but it definitely he performed. Vargas did a good job. I still think that he's a top level 130 pounder. Maybe not the very top, but I think he's a guy that can give anybody their trouble, by and large. Maybe except Berchelt, anyway. I wouldn't be surprised to see him as an opponent in the near future for your Davis or Machado or whoever happens to fill that vacancy for the WBO 130 belt. But yeah, man, he's a good fighter, and he did a good job. And Donald Trump had said that after Vicente Fox talked a bunch of shit to him, cussed at him, and all that good stuff, he had said, "Oh, well, he just made that wall 10 feet higher," but I think Vargas made it 10 feet shorter or at least 5.5 feet shorter.
Exactly. I was
whatever Rod Salka's height is listed
by 4.5.
Get shorter after every fight.
This is like a Rod Salka black hole. I mean, why?
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it for it to go that way, but Nauta just went on a technical rant of Vargas. So my apologies. I just wanted to iterate that Salka's a bum, and we should all call bums for the rest of our lives.
Chew, did you see this? I don't think you did, do you?
No.
Chew ain't got time to watch this shit. Naoto, just want to quickly give some time to Christopher Rosales getting a great win in Japan against Daigo Higa and Murata, basically, after a while catching a runner and then stopping him in Emmanuel Brandemoro. But Rosales Higa first. I want to ask you, Naoto, I didn't read up afterwards. For the people that didn't see it, the fight got stopped in the 9th round. I think Higa's corner basically threw in the towel, but do you know what the situation was? Was he injured? Did they think he was going to gas out and get stopped? It seemed like a weird decision at the time for me, obviously with the commentary being in Japanese. I didn't really know what was going on, why the fight was stopped.
His manager, Yoko Gushikin, was the one that made the decision he told the corner to stop the fight. Gushikin himself is one of the all-time great Japanese fighters, maybe the best ever, at least up until now anyway, depending on how the current crop turns out. But I think it was just a matter of, by the time the 9th round rolled around, after that little surge in energy that Higa had in the 7th and the 8th trying to fight back, Rosales just pretty much took what he got and gave it back twofold. So at that point, I think they decided to spare their man. He missed the weight entirely. He was 114 pounds when he was supposed to be 112, so he lost his belt on the scales. It was only eligible for Rosales to win, and Rosales went in there and won it pretty handily. Did a solid job. Definitely one of the upsets of the year, especially considering how Rosales performed in the fight. Although Rosales is a guy that was kind of ducked at 108. And the guy that his only losses were kind of controversial ones, higher in weight, to Selby and to Kal Yafai. So he went in there, he got it done, and he's not quite in the shadow of Chocolatito anymore. His mom is Chocolatito's cousin, so I guess I would make him like his second nephew or something like that. But Yeah, Rosales did a great job. Honestly, it was one of the more entertaining fights of the year. Also, it was pretty much all action from the opening bell. Although Higa, I think, may have started a little slow because of potentially being rate drained. And they're talking about him not even necessarily fighting at Superfly coming up. They might even have him go up to 118, considering how drained out he was just to even get down to 114, and then having to make the next day weigh-in be under 122. So I guess they just feel like it's maybe a little too restrictive for him to even just move up one weight class. They might need him to move up two. But I mean, either way, I think Higa still has a future in front of him. He's 22 years old. I don't think he necessarily took lasting damage from Rosales. I think had the corner let it continue, he might have taken lasting damage beyond that. Yeah, Rosales did a great job. Rosales is a great addition to 112 at least, and he might be the best fighter there. Really, I'd say the best fighters there would be between him and then and Sho Kimura, depending on if Sho Kimura does defend his belt next against Kosei Tanaka, the kind of incumbent pound for pounder, trying to break into those rankings right now with potentially winning 3 belts in 3 weight classes in 12 fights.
Would you not rate Selby up there, seeing as though he's already beaten once?
I'd rate him as a high level fighter. I wouldn't put him at number 1 or number 2 though. Honestly, going back when we called that fight, I thought Rosales beat Selby. It was a close fight though. It was definitely a close fight. The judges were on crack scoring it as wide for Selby as they did. But Selby, honestly, he needs to go after that title shot. Really, this title shot could have been his. Had his team pressed for it, but I don't know. I guess they were a little bit intimidated by the aura of Higa, considering he had won all of his fights by stoppage. So,
well, I was going to say, I think they're going to be eager and on the blower to the management of Rosales again to get that rematch, because he didn't in his post fight when he was asked about Higa, he was like, well, they should come over here, blah blah blah. So, I think he's really going to be chasing Rosales.
Yeah, but. If I was Rosales and his team, I wouldn't go back there because those scorecards were ridiculous.
You'd have to get either home advantage or a big
US.
Yeah, or a big. You get a big choice in the judges and referee.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
I wouldn't go back to.
He fought a lot better though too. I thought Rosales he kept his hands moving a lot more against Higa than he did against Selby. I think he waited a little bit too long against Selby, and that's how he wound up losing some of the rounds that he did. But against Higa, he cut off the ring. He kept his hands moving, and it was just a matter of Higa couldn't keep up with the pace. A lot of it was the volume of Rosales kind of overwhelmed Higa, because Higa, even though he's a bit of a buzzsaw himself, I think combining the weight issue maybe, as well as the fact that he's more of like a power puncher, like he'll bap bap bap, hit you with a couple of hard shots, and you're like almost intimidated to even throw beyond that. He'll get that like slight breather in between there, and then he'll load up on his next combination or his next shots. Rosales gave him absolutely no ability to kind of gain any traction and or get any kind of a breather. So I think Rosales almost just kind of proved that the Swarmer doesn't always lose to the Slugger. The Swarmer in this case was able to overwhelm the Slugger.
Yeah, I was impressed with Rosales in this fight. 5th round onwards, there's just so much infighting. Both guys banging away each other in the pocket. It was really fun to see. I didn't really see this side of... Maybe Selby took it away from Rosales, but I didn't see the output and the aggression from him in that fight. So he impressed me in this fight. I think because he dropped Selby in the first round, he got thinking like, I'm going to land on that same shot on him again. And so he waited too long. But just on the other fight on the card, again, not really much to say on that one. Murata kind of easy win against Blandemura, but Blandemura was so negative, man. He was just circling the outside of the ring, back constantly against the ropes. But I did see this stream on. Well, I watched it afterwards, but it was a broadcast of Top Rank on ESPN, and my boy Teddy was back. I don't know if you heard it, or you probably watched it live on some weird Japanese feed, but yeah, man, Teddy was on commentary, Naota.
I actually didn't catch it until afterwards, but the video that I saw was in Japanese, so I wasn't able to hear Teddy's display and his comeback. How was he, Cam?
Classic Teddy, bro. It was refreshing.
Okay. Well, I mean, Blandon Murrah, he was a stay busy opponent, a voluntary opponent, a guy for somebody for Murata to look good against, and he did. I mean, he just beat him up and got him out of there, even though Blandon Murrah was trying to be intent on surviving. Murata's a good fighter, man. He's probably one of the unsung. He's probably the most unsung top tier fighter at middleweight. Honestly, I'd put him in there against just about anybody there, and I think he has a good shot at beating him. He's a very big puncher. He's a very strong guy. I think that some of that physicality that we were talking about with regard to Jarrett Hurd earlier applies to Murata in a way. Although I think Murata's heavier handed than Hurd is at 154, at 160. So I think Murata could, and I really think they should press and try and get that WBA mandate for him to fight against the Golovkin-Canelo winner. And if they decide to start dropping belts, I mean, so be it. But I think Murata, at the very least, in terms of reward and in terms of risk versus reward, I think he's a pretty solid possibility there. I mean, the guy does 8 million plus viewers in Japan every single time out, and then you add that to whatever U.S. audience might tune in for the potential Golovkin-Canelo 2 winner, and you got a pretty good purse, I think, for everybody involved.
I don't think.
But how would that money work out, though? Because obviously, if you fight Canelo or Golovkin, the fight would have to be in the States. So can they capitalize on the amount of people that would tune in from Japan?
Possibly. I mean, it really would depend on what time it would take place at. They may have to do some finagling about exactly what, if it's maybe in the afternoon or something.
And the reason why I bring that up is just it kind of applies to the same thing that I was talking about with Jamal and some of these other up-and-coming 160 guys, just the way the landscape of that division is right now, with Triple G about to leave that weight division while holding belts hostage, which, again, isn't his fault, but it's just the situation that he's in right now. It just kind of puts everybody on hold, and it fucking sucks.
That, and also the fact that pretty much all the top middleweights kind of have a lack of an emphatic win, except for Jacobs with the first round knockout of Quillen.
And they're all high risk, low reward propositions for both guys.
Yeah. Well, and actually for each other. All of them for each other.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, then what are you going to do? Is everybody just going to hold their dicks out and not do anything and just wait until Triple G leaves? We don't know when that's going to be. We don't know when he's going to fight Canelo. We don't know if there's going to be a trilogy fight.
We don't know if he's going to fight Canelo.
Well, I think he is. I mean, I think that's the reason why he's fighting.
I'm pretty certain he is. But I mean, considering that it's gotten pushed back already, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just not looking good, man, and it's really tearing me apart. That's the thing that really pissed me off over the weekend, was just knowing that my boy Jamal probably wasn't going to be in a fight for a long, long time.
Yeah, but like I was saying,
all these guys are very good and they're young and they're talented, and who knows what's going to happen.
I think they just have to get on without these two. I think these two could be tied up for a while. I was saying to you, Lim, on the weekend that Golovkin may get injured in this fight against Varnes, and that would, fuck up the September fight, and then they had to wait till next year, maybe next May, so who knows. But just quickly on Murata Naoto, I see a lot of good things, but his ability to cut the ring off is absolutely trash. This dude was circling the whole ring in one direction, and he didn't think at one point just to step across and cut him off. Man, it was pretty poor.
Yeah, that's it's not that great, but it's an attribute I think that he shares with Charlo and Golovkin. So I don't think he's necessarily in bad company. I wouldn't put him against Saunders. I think that'd probably be the worst matchup for him.
I think if you take out Golovkin and Canelo, man, these guys could have a lot of. You could have a World Boxing Super Series with the rest of the dudes, and I think you'd have very good competitive fights.
Yeah,
I think so.
You would, but then all of these guys have either faced Golovkin, well, not all, obviously just one in Jacobs, or they think their worth is so much higher that they wouldn't put themselves in with one another when they don't have the same payday or the glory in the belt. Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't the other Super Series, weren't they predicated on having belts in the competition?
No, I don't think.
You think Billy Joe is going to put himself in the competition with these guys?
I'm not sure. I think the money price structure would be a big reason for these guys to enter, because I think there's a lot of money got thrown at the Super Series. So I'm not sure if they would give up the chance to maybe fight the paydays for Golovkin and Canelo. But sometimes, like you're saying, you can't wait around in your prime, Lim.
Yeah.
You got to take
You
opportunities.
can't. But unfortunately, I don't think PBC and Al Heyman fighters would do something like that. I can't see an Al Heyman fighter like Jamal putting himself in a tournament, which sucks.
Any other cards that you guys saw between now and the last pod, or should we just go backwards a
I
bit?
wanted to make special note of, I wasn't sure if you saw it, Cam, the Naopan Bochukchai versus I'm Not Rowan fight.
Oh shit! What a war!
Yeah, that was that was a fight. It wasn't for any title or anything, or at least any major titles for one of those kind of like Asia Pacific belts at super flyweight. But Naopan Bochukchai, for anybody that doesn't remember, he was the guy that was the most heralded from the M150 gym, which is shared by Suisakitsu Rungvisai. Naopan was the blue chip prospect, the guy that they thought was going to take them to the next level, and it wound up being Suisakit. Because Naopan wound up losing to Choritos Hernandez and just got caught with a good shot and he wasn't able to recover. But here against I'm Not Wrong, a former champion in his own right. I'm not as bit on the downslide, sure, but it was a really good fight between the two of them. He still, at the very least, looked competent in there. I'm Not did, and Naopan just busted him up and banged him out and stopped him. And I think Naopan makes for just another great addition to the super flyweight division. And especially if you add in Higa there, if he decides to come back at Superfly, if not bantamweight, man, that division it just gets better almost seemingly by the day. So Naopan is definitely somebody to look out for, though. Really, really good fighter. Good inside, good outside, very good all around. I guess maybe the chin may be the one kind of question mark for him.
All right, let's go back, Lim. Let's talk about Joshua versus Parker. And what a
Fucking terrible fight, man.
Yep.
Just an awful fight. Parker showed up for a payday. Femi, man, I love watching Femi work out in his Under Armour gear, but I do not like watching him fight. And I think that's an issue when you actually like the guy's advertisements more than his actual fights, which is the reason why he gets those advertisements in the first place. But just Femi is just like, I mean, first of all, the ref, I'm not going to talk about that just because, I mean, everybody knows the ref was a fucking bum. And the fact that he wouldn't allow them to fight on the inside or even close to it was an absolute farce. But Femi just doesn't seem like he has any boxing IQ when he's in there in the ring. Like he's completely content just using his size, which is fair and which is going to, lead you to victory against, lower level competition like Parker, because he was able just to kind of take a half step back or half step forward in straight lines with his hands completely out, using it as a shield because he was so much bigger than Parker. But, it really does concern me if he's going to fight Wilder. I think Wilder's just erratic enough and rangy enough that he might be able to clip him and just spark him the fuck out. I really don't know. And I keep going back and forth in this fight because both of those guys are so flawed, but it makes the matchup that much more interesting for me. But I'm just really disappointed in Joshua. Really disappointed. It was a terrible fight. And the fight did terrible numbers on Showtime too here in the States. So it's not a good look for Joshua. I mean, granted, the Klitschko fight was spectacular, but people have very short memories in this game. And when your two previous fights are duds, like people forget about you pretty quickly.
What have you done for me lately?
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that. It's like, what have you done for me in the past year and a half, essentially, or a year, whatever it is. The guy's just boring as fuck.
All right. Chu, what did you think of AJ versus Parker?
Yeah, this is why I don't like heavyweight boxing. These guys don't throw enough punches, and I thought the fight was a big letdown. I think Parker tried at least. He was trying to get busy. I thought the referee, as Slim just said, was a joke. Just separating them every 2 seconds and not letting them get to work. And I think Parker was troubling Joshua with the body work. I think even a couple of times Joshua looked at the ref like, get this guy off me. And the ref was like, yep, I will. And then they just reset and Joshua was just throwing jabs. He wasn't coming back with a right hand after it, and that stuff. And again, I think Joshua's just too heavy, even though he lost weight for this fight. I think he's just too heavy. He's too robotic. I know he's done well against Klitschko in that last fight, but you know, at least I think Joshua maybe had a different mindset for the Klitschko fight. I think, you know, that was the fight to prove yourself, and I thought Joshua was more afraid of losing than he was concerned about winning. And they just fought that way. He was just like, all right, if I keep this close, I know I'm going to get a decision. And that's the way the fight turned out. I thought, even if I was Parker, I'd be kicking off after that fight. I'd be like, man, this fight was close. I deserve a fucking rematch. I would have been complaining so much about the ref, the way the fight transpired. I would have been so upset about it, travelling all that way, putting on all that work to let the ref and Joshua tag team you. And the way the media span it afterwards as well is just like, oh, it's a given that Joshua won that fight. I don't know, man. I scored that fight a draw. That's the way I scored it. And do I want to see a rematch? No, not necessarily. I just think the guys' styles don't mesh well. I would be very reluctant to put Joshua in with Wilder on the basis of that performance. I thought it was fucking boring, and stylistically, I think Joshua's all wrong for Wilder, who is not a technical fighter by any means, Wilder, but what he'll do is he'll throw punches. He's not afraid to get in there and bum rush people. And I think that's really something that Joshua should do with his size and his power. He should just go in there and blitz him, but he's afraid to take a punch, I think. And yeah, it's just such a disappointing fight.
Nailta, your thoughts?
I thought Parker gave Joshua all kinds of trouble. I did. I mean, honestly, to me, like that fight was pretty much a giant stalemate. You know, Parker was largely able to keep Joshua from really getting that offense off consistently, at least until the late rounds when Joshua just started kind of moving his hands and just hitting whatever was available to him. And even then, it wasn't that much. Really, the more emphatic shots throughout that fight were landed by Parker. There was a few different times where he landed some uppercuts, sneaky uppercuts on the inside that at the very least appeared to move Joshua. But, you know, Parker kind of died out in stamina down the stretch, and ultimately that's what won it for Joshua. But it was a close fight to me. It was a very close fight. And I think it proved that heavyweight isn't just a two-horse race. And it also, but outside of that, when it comes to Joshua and Wilder, I don't think you can really deduct anything out of a Joshua versus Wilder fight as to who would win based off of that fight, because Wilder fights nothing like Parker. He's not that defensively slick. He's a guy that is he's like a stretched out version of Ricardo Mayorga. He's just kind of doing whatever at any time and throwing those shots, and he's also always loading up on the right hand. So at the very least, you can pretty much guarantee that right hand is going to be loaded up on, and the left doesn't necessarily have a terrible ton on it. And honestly, I think Wilder versus Joshua will probably be a dud for the first few rounds until one of them finally lands something. It'll probably be a lot like the Wilder versus Ortiz fight. And it'll just be a matter of whoever lands, if they're able to capitalize on it, and if they're able to avoid getting hit in return, because I could very easily see one of them getting clipped and then getting hit with a counter as they're trying to rush in and stop the fight. But yeah, Joshua versus Parker wasn't a very good fight. One of the more forgettable unifications in recent years. But I mean, shit, Parker can go out and recover. I think Parker's one of those guys. I said it recently that, you know, as like a student, he can not do any of the homework, but when it comes to time to take the test, he at least gets enough of a good score that he passes the class. And so he performed competently against Joshua, but didn't do enough, obviously, to win the fight. But did enough to at least place himself still in the top tier of heavyweights.
I've got to say, just to chime in, I'm listening to us talk, but I'm also looking at the chat room, and some of the guys in the chat room are just, honestly, they're just deluded about Anthony Joshua. Beast mode. Shout out to Beast mode. I love you, Beast mode. But to quote you, I think people just want the KO from Josh every time. Disciplined performance against a dangerous guy. If you say a jab, like every 30 seconds, one jab every 30 seconds is disciplined, then fair enough. I mean, I think you're delighted. I just think there's so many Joshua fanboys out there that are just, they see what they want to see and they don't really give the guy credit, his opponent credit. Parker came to win. He was the one pushing the action. He was the one making the fight. And I think if you're at home with that crowd, with that reputation, with all these sponsors, with a kind of corporate machine behind you, then you should at least get in an exchange with the guy, at least, man. You know what I mean?
Anytime it appeared like an exchange would start, the ref put an end to it.
Exactly.
And I think the ref did it. The ref did it for Joshua's sake.
There you go. You just answered my question. For Joshua's sake, you're going to need a fucking army to beat Joshua in London. Like, you're not getting any decisions. You're not getting any favours. He is going to be so tough to beat in the UK. Whether it's in Cardiff, even London, the UK, you know what I mean? He's just got the machine behind him, and he's protected.
Well, to be fair though, like if it takes place in the US, I think Wilder can very easily get away with a lot of forearms and a lot of, the break in between rounds going long, being in a minute and a half instead of just a minute, and things like that. So really, I think the Wilder versus Joshua fight, a lot of it's gonna be predicated on where the fight's taking place.
I think Hearn won't let it happen anywhere but the UK.
Yeah. Of course not, man. Why would he? He's got all the leverage in the world. He has 3 belts. He has a bigger draw. I mean, what more needs to be said, man?
Yeah. Just on the fight for me, I usually go back on the Sunday or the Monday and rewatch a big fight, but I had no interest in watching this again. The referee, shocking. We've said it all, so I'll move on. I think in the preview I said that the only success I could see Parker having was on the inside. Obviously, the referee took that away. And after that, the fact that he wasn't allowed to fight on the inside, he became quite negative, I thought, Parker. So I think Joshua could have pushed the action a bit more. He seemed to play it safe. Maybe the fact that he's gassed on numerous occasions was in the back of the mind. So he thought, well, this guy's on the back foot. He's not putting me under pressure. And it was just a really stale fight overall and very disappointing after all the build-up. But we get that, man. We get them all talking all this shit that they're going to do this and they're going to do that when they get in the ring. But they don't often do that. So, yeah. Next, I don't know, I can see Josh fighting someone else in the interim, maybe Povetkin or Miller or someone. I don't think the Wilder fight's going to happen next. I think it'll probably happen early 2018, unfortunately.
It's because both sides are so reluctant to make it happen. They have so much ego. I mean, understandably Hearn. I can understand Eddie Hearn acting like a cunt because he's always been a cunt. And again, in this situation, he has every right to be a cunt because he has the A side. But on the flip side, you have Lou DiBella acting like a fucking, pubescent, belligerent 16-year-old, in hockey attire and earrings and a fucking hat, cursing Eddie Hearn for not making any kind of first move. Like, dude, you're the B side, man. Like, you should be making every single attempt to get this fight to happen. And it seems like they feel like, Wilder is just as much as an A side as as Joshua is. So I just don't think this fight is going to happen for a long time because both sides are just kind of up their assholes.
Yeah, was it me or was Joshua wobbled a couple of times? Like, he done a little dance a couple of times.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was referring to earlier when I said that he at the very least moved him, if not, more than that.
But anyone else regarding this fight?
There was at least one uppercut I saw him land to the jaw that, Joshua did a little weird little two-step right afterwards.
Anything else regarding this fight?
We sound like such haters, but honestly, I'm looking at this chat and they are just defending actually Joshua like they're getting some free Under Armour getting sent to their doorstep. Listen, he's a fucking protected draw in boxing. We need them. He's the star. He's the A side. I get it.
Yeah.
I get
I mean,
it.
honestly, I like Joshua. I mean, it's
I do as
Joshua
well.
versus Wilder. I mean, I don't necessarily have a horse in that race. I used to be a big Wilder fan, but I think he's been kind of a cornball the last couple of years. So I don't know. Just calling it like it is.
I don't know, man.
All right.
That's shocking too, from what you told me about the chat, because none of my friends who watched the fight thought anything good about it.
Exactly. I mean, I thought these guys.
Shocking, man.
I'm not going to lose the 20 fans that we've got, but I thought these guys like boxing.
Who
right.
gives a fuck, man?
Let's move on and talk about the real fan favorite heavyweight in the UK, David Price.
Okay.
Yes. Let's do it.
At least he landed a good punch. So
I want to ask
that's-
you guys about that, Lim. You go first. Do you think Povetkin was hurt from that shot, or it was just a balance issue?
Can I go first?
No, yeah, you can go. Let me just say that I don't know, and that's the only clip I saw of that fight.
Povetkin was fucking
Go.
hurt. He was rocked and had the ref not given him that count for flying into the ropes, because otherwise he would have flown into the fucking second row from that shot. Price might have been able to knock Povetkin out. Povetkin is a hype job. He always was a hype job. He's a hype job with drug issues. And, I mean, drugs or no drugs, I think you could even go to Russia like Klitschko did and dominate him. Price almost knocked him out, and Price is nowhere near even the stratosphere of being a top-level heavyweight. He can just punch a little bit. Povetkin got a great knockout after that, but, I mean, we've seen Price get highlight reel KO'd World Star style multiple times, so that was nothing new. Povetkin is the guy is infinitely beatable for being this guy that has his own little cult following on the internet, that people insist that he's like the boogeyman, like he's the Paul Williams circa 2007 of the heavyweight division. No, he's not.
I disagree. I thought Povetkin did well. I mean, the thing with Price is he's got a lot of fans, because usually what happens when you say David Price's name is like, he's a good guy. We want him to win. He's a good guy. But I mean, I don't give a fuck about that. I want to see action. And I thought David Price, I think, is usually a very conservative fighter. He's like a little bit of Audley Harrison about him, but at least in this fight, he knew it was his kind of last shot, and he got into situations where it was kill or be killed, and he got killed. Not literally, but he put himself out there, and I respect him for that. And yeah, Povetkin's been recycled a bunch of times, and he's going to get one more shot probably against Joshua. I'm not as harsh as Nyota is on him, but see what you want about Povetkin, but he's dangerous. He's got a punch on him. And he throws punches. I like that in a heavyweight. A guy who actually wants to throw some punches.
I think Povetkin.
How is this guy not suspended for longer? Sorry, Cam. Didn't he get popped twice?
Yeah, but he's got money behind him, bro.
Yeah. My bad, Cam. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Povetkin versus Big Baby Miller would be a fun fight, because both guys got high output. But obviously, I don't know what this mandatory situation is and what route Hearn's going to go. But,
yeah. I've been hearing rumblings. That supposedly the Povetkin might be able to get a mandated shot ordered, and who knows who would actually win that purse bid. I don't know how in the ins Povetkin is with Rybinski nowadays. It seems like not quite as much as it used to be. But I have been hearing that if Povetkin's team winds up winning that, of course they'd want to have it in Russia, and ain't no chance that Hearn's going to let Joshua fight in Russia. So they might drop that belt.
Yeah. You notice when we were talking about the heavyweights, the energy is just not there. It's like I'm not excited. It's the enthusiasm for the heavyweight division. Unfortunately, I mean, things change. It's a fluid situation. I remember when we were talking about Wilder and Ortiz, we were quite excited. It's like, oh, the possibilities of this matchup, that matchup. But after that Joshua fight, I'm kind of like, I don't really care anymore.
Yeah, let's move on. Undercard wise, Ryan Burnett stunk the joint out. Anthony Crawler had a stay busy fight in a very bland performance. Josh Kelly did okay against Carlos Molina. It was his sixth professional fight, and fighting a guy with that much experience. Molina's not got the most power though; didn't really trouble him. Second half of the fight, Kelly just kind of played it on the back foot, outboxed him, and easy win, and pretty impressive for your sixth professional fight. That's about it, really. You guys got anything else regarding undercard?
Carlos Molina is impressive as a name, but he did go into the Kelly fight with a losing streak. So, I think Kelly's a very talented fighter, but I think it still kind of remains to be seen as to when they truly step him up. Molina's a good name, though.
Yep. Anyone else, or should we move on? We'll move on.
Yeah.
Lim, this was another fight you attended, man. You might as well try and just get like credentials and shit, and get paid for this or something, man. You're always at these fights, but it was at the Hard Rock in Vegas. We touched upon it earlier when Leon was still on the line. But how did you see the main event between Lara and Hurd?
I didn't score it because I knew it was gonna be a great fight, man. Like when I go to Fights Live, I don't score that shit. If you had to ask me who I thought won, I thought Hurd won just by his effectiveness. I think I might have had Hurd up even before the last round, so the knockdown obviously solidified that, and it was just a great fucking fight, man. And like I was telling you, Cam, it's these smaller venue shows with these kind of stacked, decent level fights that are the best, in my opinion, that I love attending. The fights that I have no expectations of, and I thought Lara, I don't know what to say. I always rated Lara pretty highly, and I still do. I think Hurd caught him at the perfect time. I think Lara's been slipping a little bit. I think some of that has to do with his recent dip, in opposition. So he's not been accustomed to high-level talent like Hurd. I think some of it is age and just depreciation of his natural athletic abilities. And I think it was just a perfect storm, so to speak. And Hurd is obviously an up-and-coming, young, hot prospect. I think if Hurd fought Lara in Lara's prime, maybe it's a close fight. Maybe Hurd still wins. I don't know. But I thought Hurd did fantastic. And like now to mentioned earlier in Leon, Hurd is just an athletic freak. He's like a 0.1% athlete in terms of boxing or in any sport to be that big and not have issues cutting weight, because that guy doesn't have issues cutting weight. He walks around like at 170. I watched an interview earlier this week, and he walks around at 170, can get down to 153, and on fight night or the morning of the fight, he wakes up to 162 to 163. So he doesn't have issues making that weight. And if he's able to reign at that division for a long time, he's going to be a handful for anybody. But at the same time, despite saying that, I'd still pick Jermell to beat him in a very close fight, just because Hurd's style, I give him so much props for having that mentality of just not giving a fuck as to what comes back. But that works until you fight somebody who just has game-changing power. And does Jermell have that? I don't know, but I think he might. And I think Hurd, despite his improvements in defense, I still think Jermell can hit him enough times to get him out of there very late. And the fight that I'm looking forward to the most of this year. Like, if that fight happens, I'm booking the first fight to wherever the fuck that fight takes place. Unfortunately, it might not happen next, just because Jermell is fighting Austin Trout in June. So the timetables may, get fucked up a little bit. Hurd might take a, in-between fight in Maryland against a tune-up fight. I don't know, but that's a fight that I want to see so desperately. But it was a great atmosphere, man. I got to see a bunch of dudes that I follow, like on Instagram, like a bunch of fighters, a lot of Vegas fighters were out there. Lara's family, you know how Lara brings out the beautiful Cuban woman. So, like 15 to 20 Cuban women deep, thick as fuck with dresses that are barely holding on to dear life. So it was definitely a good sight to see.
You got to see Cal Brook in the flesh as well.
Yeah, got to see Cal.
Chocolate brownie.
The Terminator, the chocolate bounty. I talk to Errol, hit that arrow, come get it. Come to 154 in Fairfield, and I'll beat you in the rematch.
That was funny. That when he was Golden Arrow. But Chew, did you see Hurd versus Lara?
I actually saw it today. Yeah, I watched it, and Lara decided to fight for once, and unfortunately just picked the wrong guy to fight with. But what I wanted to say to Leon when he was on earlier is, I actually scored that fight to Lara. I'm not going to say it was a robbery because it was a close fight, but if you look at the YouTube comments on that fight, it's online now. It's on YouTube. I think the majority of the people thought Lara won, and I would agree. I think people are maybe praising Hurd a little bit too much. I mean, he's a warrior. He was really pressing the action. He was bullying Lara in some spots, but I thought Lara was right there in the pocket, landing shots the whole way through the fight. And obviously the pivotal moment was the knockdown. Let me just ask Lynn, if it wasn't for that knockdown, do you think Lara would have got the decision?
Had he won the fight or had he won that round?
Yeah. If it wasn't for that 2-point swing.
No, he probably would have, because I did watch the fight the day after, and I didn't score it again, so please shoot me in the fucking head for that. But the fight was a lot closer watching it on TV compared to when I was there live, just because I think for me, and I think with most people who watched the fight, people were so shocked to see Hurd kind of control the ring and make Lara fight his fight, which is the reason why people gave Hurd maybe more credit than he actually deserved, is because people are so unfamiliar with Lara having to fight in that style. So I do think the ring control was a huge aspect of that fight in terms of judging, because most people that I talked to that did watch the fight also had it a draw, or they had it, I think, Lara 1 round up going to the 12th round. So with that math, obviously the knockdown is a game changer there. But I just thought it was a great fight. So I have for me, if it's a great fight, and to me this is the best fight of the year so far, I have no qualms with the judging if a fight is that close and that great.
Before you go to Nyota, I just want to say that Hurd is a guy who he's listed as 5'11". I think he's taller. And obviously he makes 154. He's a massive guy.
Yeah.
I think his hair adds another foot.
Yeah, I've the information I've got, he's listed as 5'11". I don't think so. I think he's 6'1" at least.
No, he's like an inch or two taller than Jermell Charlo.
It's the hair, bro.
I'm looking at Hurd's box right now. It says 6'1".
Yeah, he's 6'1" for sure. Him versus Jamal would have been an incredible fight, man. Just because Jamal is just as big as Hurd is. And he can obviously hit a little bit harder than Jamal. But anyway,
the point I was trying to make is basically he's a guy who takes advantage of the 24-hour weigh-in before. He wouldn't have existed back in the day when it was same-day weigh-in. And I don't know if that's a good thing.
Yeah, but you could say that about so many goddamn... But true, you can say that about 50% of fighters now.
Yeah, you're right. And
people are so acclimated to that system.
Right.
So, to me, Hurd and his quote-unquote weight bullying, which I do not subscribe to, is nowhere near as egregious as what Chavez used to do back in the day.
To me, the true weight bullies are people that force larger guys to drink down and to fight at catch weights. Those are the true weight bullies of boxing.
But like you said earlier, it's not so much the technical skills, it's the physical.
Yeah, but that isn't entirely predicated upon weight. He's just extremely strong.
Yeah, it's pretty. Listen, at middleweight, he's not half the fighter.
He was 1 pound heavier than Lara, fight day. He was significantly stronger than Lara, in spite of only being 1 pound heavier than him.
Yeah, but look at Lara. He's fleshy.
I love these arguments between you guys, because this is a completely unwinnable argument from both sides.
Lara's old, and that's old man fat he's got on him. Whereas,
bro, did you see how shredded he was at the weigh-ins, man? Come on. Yeah. He was ripped to the gills, man.
You know the point I'm trying to make.
I do, but I don't know. I do, but I don't agree.
Size
with
and
the
strength
shoe.
isn't the same thing. I remember when Canelo's brother tried to go down and weight bully, quote unquote, Yayo Thompson. He was significantly heavier than him in the ring, but Yayo Thompson beat the brakes off of him because he was stronger and more powerful than him.
Cam, be the voice of reason here. What do you think of the fight?
I clearly had Hurd winning, to be honest.
LOL.
I was really
She's trying to get some.
Come on,
backup.
chat. You've
Those
got
miserable-
time to fucking save the
all
day.
right. So you shut on the
fight
chat
then.
during the Joshua fight, but now you want the chat to back you. I don't think that's gonna happen to you. But
I'm a hypocrite till the day I die, bro.
What is it? What's the chat saying though?
Nothing. I'm not concerned about this fight.
just
Oh, okay.
just quickly, my opinion. I thought I was really interested to see Lara not moving as much. Like his feet were so static. I thought he was kind of standing and trading early on, and then throughout the fight, which I didn't expect. I expected him to kind of move, go to the rope, shoot a backhand counter, and then spin off and reset and go again. And yeah, I don't know if it's the fact that he's just fought so much lower opposition in the last couple of years, and he's just become complacent. No idea, but I thought he was visibly moved more by Hurd shots. He looked more under pressure and more like he was the guy that was getting the fight being pressed upon him. And yeah, I think I had it like 7-5, 8-4 to Hurd, and then plus the knockdown. But yeah, that was how I saw the fight. Chu, unfortunately, not agreeing with you.
But the thing is, like, I completely understand what she was saying, and like, let's say I do agree with it. Like who cares, man? Like, he's just genetically gifted, and like Nauta said earlier, like people forget sometimes, like boxing is a really physical sport. I mean, it's predicated on how physical and athletic you are to some extent, and if you're not able to box as well as Lara or somebody else in that weight division, like Jermell Charlo, like who gives a fuck, man? Like if you're that athletic, then use it to your advantage. So be it.
Yeah, I don't have a response to that. You're probably right. Yeah, I'll take this L and I'll move on. Next fight, please.
Well, let me get my 2 cents out on the
No,
fight.
you did that already, bro.
What you talking
Yes,
about?
we've got a busy schedule.
It says 4 cents now.
Now go on, quick, Naota.
I thought Hurd won it by 1 point with the knockdown. I thought that Lara was outpointing him early. I thought that Hurd was just kind of a rising tide, slowly rising, and he slowly kind of tired Lara out. And ultimately, I think that will probably be what happens with Jermell Charlo. Although Charlo does hit harder, he would be the hardest puncher that Hurd has fought to date. So that's the X factor. But I get a feeling that if Charlo isn't able to stop Hurd early, it's going to be a very long night, and his chances of winning will shrink as the fight goes on.
Let's be honest here. He's just a black Julio Cesar Chavez, isn't he?
Junior or senior?
Junior. No, he's definitely not a senior.
No.
He's going to get Paul Williams, Sergio Martinez highlight reel knocked out.
At some
one
point,
point.
he might. At some point, he might. But
Yeah, that's why I favor Jermell still. And I think if you believe that now, you should bet the fight. Because Jermell's going to be like a 2-1, 3-1 favorite in that fight.
I might just
You should,
do that.
and rightfully so, because I think Jermell he's just so much better than Hurd from a boxing skill set level. And I think
absolutely.
I think he's
agree.
physical enough, and I think he's physical enough to counter Jarrett Hurd's size advantages. Like Jermell's a big motherfucking guy at 154.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not going to be many people bigger than him at 154, but there's going to be guys who are kind of comparable in size. And once he comes up against the guy who's comparable in size and with the kind of skills to fucking match and the power, he's going to get lit up. That's my opinion. I like him as an exciting
I
fighter.
just don't think those guys exist at this current time at 154. Beyond maybe Jermell.
No, man. Just the thing with me with Jermell is like I've never seen. Like, there's a lot of variables in play with this fight. Like you mentioned, like you alluded to earlier, how does Jermell respond to Hurd's constant pressure, in the later rounds if he's not able to get him out there? Like, to me, I've seen like these dudes train, and I just have a feeling that Jermell are just like, they're fucking freaks, just like Hurd is athletically. and if they can sustain that level of activity in the later rounds, I'd pick Tramel pretty comfortably. But I don't know that because I've never seen him have to dig in deep against a guy like Hurd. Because Hurd's an issue, man. Hurd's an issue for anybody who doesn't have a good gas tank.
All right. Anything else regarding this fight? All right, let's talk about the undercard. My rematch with James DeGale, man. I was disappointed with my performance. I think I underperformed.
Too many snacks, Cam. You need to go back to the Subway, just tuna diet, no chips,
Bro, you get cushy, man. Once you got a belt on your mantelpiece, man, you get a bit complacent.
Bro, you're talking to the wrong person. Not the Cam lives off of M&Ms and Reese's Pieces, bro. Like I've never seen somebody eat more candy than this bum. I knew he was gonna take that L, man. I knew it.
Reese's Pieces, man. Good taste. I like it.
No, but seriously, Liam, what do you think of the fight?
It was terrible. It was fucking terrible. I like James DeGale's sister, but he was fucking terrible.
Anything else?
I think she's overrated.
No, she is. I thought she was a lot hotter, but she's not as hot in person. I thought she was like a Leona Lewis back in her prime, but she's like half.
What's your thoughts on the fight itself?
Like I said, it was fucking terrible. I don't need to go on.
Is that it?
DeGale's a bum. DeGale's a bum, man. And Truex is an overblown 160-pounder.
What did you think, Chu?
I think DeGale was shot to pieces.
Yeah.
He's a two-weight. Sorry, two-weight. He's a two-time now super middleweight champion. That first fight wasn't a fluke. He's lost something. He's went life and death. Either way, each guy's got a decision against Caleb Truex, who you have to be honest, he's a good guy. He's like hardy. He's like one of those guys who brings the fucking lunchbox and the blue hat to the work. Whatever that fucking analogy is, I can't remember. But you know what I mean? He's like a fucking workhorse. And fucking DeGale, gold medalist, technical fighter, just, I don't know what it is. I don't know. He's just got Truex problems. And if he fights that guy who, help me out with the name, is Cadder Colombian? He fucking destroys him. He should stay away from him. Is Beast Mode in the chat? Sorry to quote you again. I'll quote Local Mexicano next time. As he said in the chat room, I'd like to see Groves, DeGale too. Both guys are a little bit past the prime, but just even the build-up to that fight would be interesting because I love those kind of Groves mind games that he likes to play. DeGale's just like, ugly kid. I love that fight first time round, so I'd like to see that again before they both retire. But DeGale should retire.
Did you see the photo after the fight between Uzcategui and James DeGale? Uzcategui had his arm around him and big ass grin on his face. I was thinking, yo, your food, mate. I'm taking that title off you.
Absolutely, I didn't see it, but if I was Uzcategui,
Uzcategui.
Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? Uzcategui. That is DeGale's daddy. He knows it. That's why he's so friendly. Arm round him. He's basically saying to DeGale, you stay nice and uninjured. Keep that belt warm for me. That's coming back to whatever South American country I'm coming from.
Venezuela.
Chu, you know what? Before this fight, I saw, social media, DeGale training hard, and I thought he was going to be putting on a convincing, display, making that first fight seem like a distant memory, but he didn't, man. Like, yeah, he was better, but the fight was awful. He'd kind of shoot southpaw 1-2 and then grab hold, and it was a very stop-start fight. And afterwards, they made it out like it was some big convincing performance, and he buried that original first fight performance away, and he's back now. But Nah, I agree. I think he's washed. I think he should get this rematch with Groves as soon as possible because I don't really see much left from James DeGale.
I think Chris Eubank Jr. beats him now. That's how bad it's got. And DeGale pushes his punches now. I've always wondered where his power came from. Because I remember back in the day when DeGale was first started out, I wasn't a fan. But he would somehow, he would land good hard shots on people and they would fall down sometimes. But I don't know, the snap on his punches is gone. He's lazy. He's on the ropes a lot. He gets pushed back by guys. He doesn't control the centre of the ring. And against the fucking new breed, the 168 guys coming through, I think he's got no chance. Nyota, what do you think?
I pretty much echo your sentiments and Lim's as well. I thought the fight was very dull. I thought DeGale was mostly in control of it, but that was largely because he would kind of do a hit and grab routine. Truex really doesn't have very much offensive variety, so he just does what he does and keeps doing it, hoping that it'll work, but it doesn't. And it was still it was a clear win for DeGale, but Truex was at least competitive in spots. But they both looked flat. There was like flat 7-up, man. There was no fizz to it whatsoever. So, but and I think that Uzcategui would smoke him. He would do to him what pretty much he was on his way doing, or actually did really against Durrell in their first fight when he just wasted him. But unfortunately, I don't think DeGale's sister hits even as hard as Durrell's uncle. So that might not turn out so great in either scenario. But I doubt that fight would happen. I think it'd be more likely that DeGale fights Groves. It's still a good domestic fight. I think Groves would beat him.
Yeah.
But get good payday though. I do agree that Eubank would be. A lot of people, they talk shit to me after Eubank lost to Groves, and I said that Eubank versus DeGale would actually be a pretty good fight because I think that DeGale could take a certain level of advantage of Eubank's being so wild and not really technically sound, but Eubank could take advantage of DeGale by, I think, the fact that Eubank could physically bully DeGale. So
absolutely, this is the problem with Chris Eubank Jr. He doesn't have a promoter backing him. Like, this is the perfect opportunity to fight DeGale. They should pony up, get some money, get a purse together, and just say to DeGale, "Hey, listen, I don't know what George Groves is offering you, but we'll double it." Because if Chris Eubank Jr. wants to become a world champion, he's going to have to face a weak title holder, and there's none weaker than DeGale at the moment. In his prime, different story, but DeGale was gone. And, that's the reason why the business dealings, the Eubanks, has kind of came back and bit them on the backside. If you had someone, a backer, see what you want about Eddie Hearn, he looks after these fighters. If he sees a weak champion, he puts all the money in, gets the fucking belt back to the UK. Eubanks don't have any friends in the British kind of boxing scene, so they're kind of in a rock, in a hard place, whatever the fuck that analogy is. Fuck it.
I agree about Eubank versus DeGale, because the opportunities Eubank would have when he's sitting on the ropes, he'd just be able to tee off on him, so I totally agree with that. But anything else? Any fights that happened since the last show? Or any news you guys want to talk about? The only news really I saw, I didn't really pay attention to boxing scene that much in the last 2-3 weeks, but it's mainly dominated with Golovkin and his opponent and whether he was still going to fight on that date on StubHub and all that shit, and then what happened with Canelo and his 6-month ban. So you guys want to touch upon any of that, or should we just move on to the previews?
I think the WBC is full of shit, dropping that stupid ass list. Like, these are the people that refuse to sign up for the clean boxing program with WADA. A lot of those guys, as Hiroto Kiyoguchi, the IBF strawweight champion, exposed on Twitter, weren't even asked to do that shit. So them refusing tests is some excellent fake news from the WBC to try to have Canelo's back.
They're representing the Mexicans, bro.
So let me get this right. Canelo was suspended for 6 months, but conveniently he's okay to fight in September.
Yeah, I think they're backdating it. Or
They
some shit.
backdated it, yeah, from the first failed test.
Yeah,
That's cool.
February 17th.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was all conspired so that, he could fight in September.
It seems a bit convenient.
Can we just all we should never take anything that WBC says with a grain of salt. They're the biggest joke of a promotional or just whatever organization, the belt organization of all the 4 belts. We all know that.
Yo,
Nah,
you
actually, I think
fucking
WBA
murdered
is
that
fair.
analogy. You
The
murdered that.
WBA is worse, but the WBC is not too far behind.
I think the reason why probably a lot of people think the WBC is worse is because people still herald it as the best belt of the 4. But I mean, the very moment that they made Cotto versus Canelo for the middleweight champion at 155 pounds, that is the most egregious offense that I can think of. So the fuck out of here. WBC is just, Jesus Christ, man. They're all fucking terrible.
This has been the most saltiest, the most badly analogized show we've possibly ever done. Dan, you meant to say, take the WBC with a pinch of salt.
No, a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, but you said we should never take what they say with a grain of salt, as opposed to
my
we should
fault.
always take what they say with a grain of salt.
It's okay, Dan. I can
Anyways,
fuck
you
them all
know
night.
what I meant. You know what I meant. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
even
why I
know
didn't
what
bother
this,
to correct you, but you decided.
Yeah, thanks a
I'm
lot,
feeling
asshole.
salty today.
Dick.
Fuck the WBC.
Yeah.
Fuck Canelo. Fuck Triple G for even entertaining a rematch. And fuck
hope
Abel
they die soon?
Sanchez. Yeah.
But what do you mean entertain? He's going to fight Canelo. Well,
Are
there's
you
not a... Yes. It's just way too much money involved, man. If he's already bitching about Derevchenko and not having enough time to properly promote that fight and not having enough money, in the pot to fight Derevchenko, of course they're gonna fight Canelo, man.
Why can't he fight Billy Joe Saunders?
Because it doesn't generate it generates a third of the money at best.
How much did Canelo and Golovkin sell first time anyway?
About 1.3 million.
Was it that much?
Golovkin made 15 million off of that fight.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Fine.
No, that fight did fantastic.
But then again,
So,
I think
it's a 20
the first
Oh my
match was
God.
overrated as a spectacle. I wasn't that entertained though. It was an alright fight. It was alright.
Yeah.
I just seen an interesting headline of apparently
it.
Vladimir Nikitin just inked with Top Rank, the guy that that got a decision over Michael Conlon in the Olympics. So now it looks like they'll probably set up that revenge match, and Conlon will beat the shit out of Nikitin just like he did in the Olympics. He beat him
His
so
name's
bad that the
Nikitin.
guy couldn't continue. Yeah.
Yeah, Nikitin.
He's gonna get smoked.
Yeah.
He's
he would've
gonna
been
get
a-
smoked.
He would have been a fantastic fighter in
I
the
knew that was coming.
1960s. During the Mad Men era. Anyways, we can AKA Don Draper. But no, Kim. I think the news is that I read something. I just checked Boxing Scene right now, and Eddie Hearn said in an interview that he would be okay with Charlo getting in the ring after the Jacobs fight against Selecki. So fingers crossed, man. Like I mentioned, bro. I know I've been dick riding the Charlos for quite some time now, but like I said, those two fights are just the most mouth-watering matchups of the year for me.
Yeah, that is a great fight if that does happen. But all right, let's move on. Go on to the previews. April 27th, we've got this welterweight tournament, which has kind of gone under the reins only because some of the names are not really people that people recognise. But I recognise Felix Diaz, Chris Van Heerden. But on the same day in Manchester, they've also got some weird one-night boxing tournament at welterweight as well. It's called Ultimate Boxer. It's at the Manchester Arena. I think it's kind of like a prize fighter structure, but I'm not really looked into it again. I don't recognise one name that's on the bill, so that might tell you everything. April 28th, Philadelphia got Jesse Magdaleno versus Isaac Dogbo. Interesting fight, man. Naoto, go to you first. Magdaleno only fought once last year. I think he got injured towards the tail end of last year, and then his opponent fought Dogbo. Was it Cesar Juarez? So what do you think of the fight?
I think it's a good fight. I think it'll be really entertaining. I think Dogbo is probably one of the better prospect turn contenders. Well, he won the interim WBO belt, interestingly enough, against Juarez since Magdaleno was injured. He's a really good fighter. He's good on the inside, really good jab, solid jab. Definitely, I'd say took some things from Ike Bazooka Corte in that regard. He's a good power puncher, and he pretty handily defeated Juarez, although I wasn't quite a fan of the stoppage. But I do think that he's in a little bit too deep against Magdaleno. I get the feeling this is a fight that he's not really quite ready for. I think Magdaleno is just as good on the inside and better on the outside. I think he's quicker. I think he's slicker. And I think Magdaleno will win a clear points decision, but one that Dogboy will at least be competitive in. And then I'd imagine that at some point Magdaleno's going to move up, and Dogboy might eventually become a champion thereafter. But I think the seasoning isn't there for him to fight and defeat an opponent of Magdaleno's caliber yet.
Yeah, Dogbo's first fight against Juarez was the first time I seen him. I was impressed, man. Really nice left hook to the body. He could fight on the back foot, because Juarez classic Mexican, kind of walking him down, and he was doing well, man. Headshots, body shots, switching it up. I agree that Tony Week's stoppage was pretty poor, but I think it was only kind of going one way anyway. Magdaleno, obviously, he's been out since I think he fought like summer last year, so it's been a year. I think he fought on a Valdez Mariaga undercard at the StubHub. But he really impressed me against Nonito, man. He was on the outside, but for the smaller guy, kind of starting on the outside, jumping in, doing his work, getting back out. He was like an irritating little mosquito, man. Very quick, very fast reactions and counter punches. But only thing I don't really like is this kind of lead. He's a southpaw, and he throws a very it's I don't want to call it lazy, but he throws a very unorthodox lead left hand where he's really on the outside, and because he's a shorter dude, he falls short with it quite often, and it's a kind of trait of Manny Robles' fighters where they throw this backhand from far out. And I think that's somewhere where he could be exploited by Dogbo. He probably won't, because I don't think Dogbo's going to be able to catch him. But I think it's a very interesting fight, man. I'm looking forward to it. Lim and Chu, I won't even go to you because you guys have probably never seen either guy.
No.
Yeah, it's a dog shit card.
Yeah, the undercard's pretty whack, but I think the top of the bill is a good fight.
I don't know who JC Magdaleno is.
Yeah, the main is a good fight. Two undefeated guys going at it, and I think it'll be interesting.
Yep. Same night, Lim. Daniel Jacobs versus Maciej Seletsky. I looked at this dude. He fought your boy Hugo. Hugo lost to him. Got stopped.
He beat the crap out of Hugo.
He did. That was at 54, right?
That fight against Hugo was it was at 60. Well, Hugo came in at 163 and Seletsky came in at 159.
Okay, that's weird. Are you sure? How did that fight get sanctioned then?
I'm not sure. Maybe it was just.
Well, basically, I think originally Seletsky was supposed to fight somebody different, and Centennial came in on like a few weeks' notice. So that's part of the reason why he was only 163. He wasn't able to get down completely, but they took it anyway.
Gotcha. No, Seletsky's a decent fighter. I'm not just saying that because I like Hugo. Seletsky's pretty decent. He's not elite by any means, but it's not a bad fight for Jacobs. I am kind of disappointed in Jacobs' opposition. I'm not surprised, obviously, with Eddie making Matchroom US. It's not like he's going to put in, Jacobs in the fire, get some of these lower level guys when there's still a lot of money to be made at the top end. But it's a decent fight. I like Jacobs a lot. He did disappoint me a little bit with the last fight against Luis Cubas, just because I thought Jacobs had him in the bag and he just kind of decided to play
Luis Arias.
Oh, Luis Cubas Arias. I don't know what the fuck his name is.
No, Luis the Cubas is the guy that manages Riggin.
No, but Luis, that's his name, though, I think. Cubas.
No,
that's his middle name.
No, Cuba is his nickname. His last name is Arias.
Oh, well, you know what I'm trying. Jesus, man, you motherfuckers. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? The fuck? Get off my shit, bro. Anyways, Jacobs is...
Not nice feeling, is it, then?
I want to see Jacobs versus Charlo, like I mentioned like 50 times on the show today. So let's just get that fucking shit out of the way and get Charlo in the ring and let them talk shit in Brooklyn, man. Let's get the shit happen. Or it's in Nassau Coliseum, right, in Long Island. One of the new arenas over there. So fuck it. That's a big splash that I want to see. Because, I mean, what does Jacobs do? He's in the same situation as Jamal is, right? Like, how long are you going to wait for these guys for them to handle their shit? Are you just going to keep fighting these B, C level names like over and over again until you get a shot?
Is it in that arena, Lim, or is it at the Barclays? Because BoxRec have it as Barclays.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm just talking out of my ass, but...
Yeah, Jacobs and Miller are both from Brooklyn, so...
Well then... Yeah, and I'm going to say it for the 51st time. It's just more reason to make Jamal versus Danny, man. 1 week apart, both fighting at the same fucking venue. I mean, come on, let's make it happen,
I mean,
man.
they might already have it in the works. You never know.
I hope so.
But I think Sulechki is a good opponent, though. I think he's actually pretty dangerous. I think he's probably one of the more dangerous guys that isn't a big name at middleweight out there. He's heavy-handed. He won every round against Centennial before he finally stopped him, and he really beat the brakes off him. Really, they probably should have thrown him at the town for Centennial a few rounds earlier than when they finally stopped him, because he was rocking him almost every round. But being, that said, he's not like a one-shot KO artist. He's kind of a hard-working but heavy-handed fighter. And I mean, I think he can trouble Jacobs in some spots. If Jacobs scores a knockout against him, I think that's actually a pretty big statement insofar as Jacobs' level of class. But I mean, I'm expecting Jacobs to outbox Sulechki and win a decision where maybe he drops a couple of rounds. But I think if he sparks Sulechki, that'll be a very, very good win. Although I think it'll wind up being an underrated win because probably a lot of people hadn't seen Sulechki before.
Yeah, I kind of agree with most of what you said. Only thing I would differ on is heavy-handedness. He's only got 10 stoppages. I think he's a decent puncher, but I don't think he'll be able to hurt Jacobs, even though Jacobs sometimes got a suspension. But he's a kind of classic boxer. He beat Jack Kulkai quite handily in his last fight. Obviously, we talked about him against Hugo, and I think like originally when it was announced, I was like, "Who's this dude? Not heard of him." But when I look back, I thought, "Yeah, he's not the worst opposition." Obviously, Hearn's kind of taking it easy with Jacobs, and hopefully we'll get a kind of Charlo fight or a big fight next for Jacobs.
I think he'd be 50-50 against Derevchenko, to be honest with you.
Nah, I think I'd favor like 60-40 for Derevchenko, to be honest. But I see what point you're trying to make. But
people really rate Derevchenko that highly.
I think a lot of people base him off the eye test. And have you seen him fight though, Chu? Like he's pretty decent.
I've not seen a full fight. I'll be honest with you. I've seen highlights.
He's decent, man. He's a good fighter. But
I think he's a bit overrated, and if they toss him in there with Golovkin, Golovkin will destroy him.
Yeah, it's a shame Golovkin doesn't feel that way, but
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It really is.
But and this brings us full circle to what I was saying earlier. Why should Golovkin fight a guy who is the new Golovkin? The avoided guy, when everyone has made a fucking they've avoided Golovkin like the plague.
Because it's the right thing to do, man. We wanted those guys to fight Golovkin and give him the opportunity 4 to 5 years ago, right? and we want the same thing to happen now. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think Golovkin would be stupid. As a boxing fan, would I like it? Yeah, great, I would. But I would, as a friend, I consider Golovkin like a friend.
I know, and you even by your tone, I know you see the partial hypocrisy in that, and I get it. Like, to me, like, people always criticize people for saying, "Oh, dude, you're not in the business side of boxing, so why the fuck are you acting like a promoter?" Well, with boxing, it's so embedded in how boxing matches work. Like, you can't help but to think like a promoter, like half the time, right? I mean, how realistic do you want to be? Do you want to live in fucking dreamland and then think everybody's gonna fight each other? Of course not. That's never gonna happen, bro. So
yeah, half the fun with boxing is
I'm not even that mad at this Vanes fight, man. Like, I was pissed off a little bit earlier. Like, I get it for Triple G, man. Like, you've been in camp for 4 to 6 weeks. You've invested a shitload of money already in your training camp. And if you can make $1 million fighting a bum in Vanes, like, more power to you, my man. Like, take it.
Look at the pictures on boxing scene right now, Lynn. Gennady Golovkin, Vanes, Matt Erosion. Right, there's pictures up there right now. Top page. Look at how small Vanes is compared to Triple G. Like, Vanes is like, his face is like a penny.
You know what? Like, I had this conversation earlier with Cam, just going back to the whole Jordan, commercial with Triple G. I just think I feel bad for Triple G. I really do, because I think his resume, when it's all said and done, isn't going to be all that great. And I thought he was going to be a once-in-a-generation fighter when he was coming up. And I don't really see that happening anymore with his age and all of this bullshit that he's in right now. It's not a good look for my man.
Sort of just like Costa Zoo back in the day, Costa Zoo couldn't get the big fights. When he finally got one,
Yep. He was past it.
It was fucked up.
Chew, man. Yeah. Pronounce his name properly.
Costa Zoo.
Sorry, say it again.
Costa Zoo.
Like, to me, that Jordan commercial would make sense if Triple G was still the killer that everyone thought he was back in 2014, but he's just not, man. He's not that same dude.
He's actually getting a bit grey, just looking at these pictures. He's a bit grey.
Just for men.
Grey hair. Yeah.
All right, let's get back to this card then. Any opinion on Jacobs, Chew, or should we move on?
No.
Co-main, Jaron Mills fighting Johan Dupois, former opponent of Wilder and also Povetkin when Povetkin was roided up and iced him. I think that was after the Wilder fight when he was supposed to fight someone and they pulled out, and then he fought this dude on short notice. I think it was Wilder.
But he fought him on like fucking 48 hours notice.
24 hours notice or something. Yeah, crazy. But what else have we got on that card? Katie Taylor, she's unifying against Victoria Bustos, 18-4 Argentinian. She's got no knockouts, so I don't think Katie's going to be worried about defense. And that's about it. Should we move on?
Yeah.
Sure. We got to move on to the card in El Paso.
Oh, I was going to try and avoid this shit, Lim. You've had it penciled into the diary, haven't you? Is it?
Lim is fighting on the card.
Is it because your cousin?
I know. I was gonna say
your cousin Abby Hans on there against Anthony Dirrell.
Yeah, I'm fighting on the card. My sister's fighting on the card. So if you guys want to see a Lim family occasion, just tune in on Saturday in El Paso.
Yeah, man.
And then maybe you can also catch a little bit of this too.
So, Ojo, are you okay? I'm good. Is he okay? Let's talk about the fight. Is you okay?
Because Erickson Lubin is coming back. He's making his glorious return, and he's not even on the fucking card, man. I'm looking at BoxingSchedule.com right now, and he's not even listed, man. I have to go to his bum-ass BoxRec to find his ass. So that's what happens when you keep running your mouth against the Charlos, man. I try to tell you guys.
Keep running your mouth.
Bro, it's hammer time, bro. Look. He'll be back, man. Give him a couple fights to...
that card is dog shit, anyways. So
Yeah. But actually,
Okay.
I do want to ask
There's one
Neota,
bright spot.
your boy Jorge Lara's finally back after a year of inactivity.
Yeah, man. You know, he finally healed up from the injury that he supposedly suffered again when he was supposed to be fighting Jojo Diaz like 2 days before the fight was supposed to happen. But yeah, he's coming back against former champ Claudio Marrero. Marrero, who recently himself was coming off a knockout loss to Jesus Rojas, who incidentally is a big rival of Lara because they have a draw against each other. I think it's going to be a good fight. You know, Marrero is always in an action-packed fight. He's almost like got that kind of early Zab Judah style to him, where it's like he's really quick and he's pretty defensively sound, but he likes to fight it out. So I think we're going to be in for an interesting knockout at the very least, because I think Lara is going to go in there and light his ass up, and Morrell is going to be foolish enough to try and trade with him.
All right. On the Wednesday, the 2nd of May, again to you, Neota, the Leviathan's back.
Oh man, TBE. 49 have tried, and 49 have failed. Does anybody have any argument to that? 49 have tried, and 49 have failed.
Is this
What are you talking about?
That's what I thought.
Neota, is Panamanian opponent any good or?
Leroy Estrada is his mandatory, WBC mandatory. He did defeat Saul Juarez, who was a very good fighter, in order to get the shot. He's actually he is pretty good. He's basically like a mini Anselmo Moreno in his style. So tries to be kind of quick in and out, elusive. But I do think that Kayapan Munsri, aka Wenheng the Leviathan Maniathan, will.
What the fuck are you saying? What language are you speaking?
Prove his winning ways once more and go 50-0. And pretty much you have Floyd Wenheng Floyd. I mean, that's, how do you parse that out?
Are you speaking Mandarin right now?
The Leviathan.
Yeah.
I'm fine, man. You don't need to keep asking.
I actually give him that nickname, Chew. So,
that's a good nickname.
Chew.
Don't ask me.
Friday the 4th of May, your boy Ryan Garcia is back in a big step up against Jason Velez.
Kingere.
Yes, Kingere. That's a really good fight.
That's a good step up, man.
He's already. Many have tried, many have failed to take Juanma Lopez's soul, but Jason Velez has that. He's got it in a jar somewhere, and what a scalp if Jason Velez is able to take the buzz, the absolute buzz that King Lee has got. You know what I'm gonna say. You know that King Lee is the beast, the new thing in boxing, the fastest hands. Why are you laughing?
Are they faster than Khan's though?
That is a good question. That is really, someone should just get a
maybe we
stop.
should have a pay-per-view hand speed exhibition. Khan and King Lee.
Chris Eubank Jr. Yeah, put in.
Did you just call him King Ree, right? Did you call him King Ree, Nanta?
Yeah.
Oh, King Rai, bro. King Rai.
Yeah, man, I'm pronouncing it how it's meant to be, like the way Chew does.
Yeah. Get the vowel right. In all seriousness, let's get serious here. This is our boy. This is the fucking meal ticket for boxing, so you better come correct and talk about this guy with the respect that he deserves. This guy is not just Instagram. This guy is not just YouTube videos. This guy is really Golden Boy's last hope. I'm surprised they've put him in with this guy at this stage in his career. They must have high hopes, but Golden Boy they've got a habit of ruining their prospects, so let's see what happens.
That's actually a decent point that you're bringing up, Chu, because it's actually the day right before the Golovkin fight at the same venue. And you're right.
They were trying to capitalize off of the Canelo hype and all that good stuff.
Yeah. and they did a pretty good job at that in terms of like a plan B. But you're right, True. They have Jojo Diaz and they have Ryan Garcia, and that's pretty much it.
It's okay. It's a really small, tight knit family that they've got a Golden Boy.
Well, they got Ray Vargas.
Yeah, like a 4-man team. It's like the 4 horsemen of the
Well,
Golden Boy.
Yeah, they got Spike O'Sullivan as well.
Oh, yeah, Borat.
You know, you guys aren't sold on King Ray. Cam,
Are
what do
you? I
think?
didn't know.
Cam, what do you think of this fight?
I think it's a really good step up, man. I've seen Garcia a few times. He's impressive, but against, poor opposition. So it's going to be interesting to see how he kind of handles Velez. Velez is not the biggest puncher, but he's a guy that's not been stopped. He actually is a decent puncher, 18 KOs out of 26 fights, so 26 wins, but he's never been stopped. He's fought high-level opposition. The guys that he's lost to have been good, and they've all been, close-ish fights. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see how, King Ray reacts to fighting someone decent.
Yeah, I like this fight, actually. I think it's actually pretty dangerous. I think it's another fight in the habit of Golden Boy matching their prospects really damn tough. Because, Velez is a guy that, he's kind of high risk, low reward. The only guys he's really lost to were the guys kind of just on the verge of fighting for titles. Ronnie Rios, Joseph Diaz, Rene Alvarado. He has a draw with Evgeny Gradovich back when Gradovich was a champ. And I think he looms as pretty dangerous for kind of a young buck in Garcia, a young guy that hasn't necessarily really been tested on a level near Velez's. I actually think this is a pretty big step up from everybody that he's fought in the past, especially. So let's see what he's got. I mean, if Garcia goes in there and makes easy work out of Velez, actually, I think that'll be a pretty big statement, even though Velez would be fighting higher up than when he was in his prime.
If Garcia highlight reel knocks him out, will you and Daniel Lim apologise to me the next show?
I don't think I was ever really that critical of Garcia, to be honest with you.
You're right, you weren't, but Dan was.
Wait, what was the question? My bad.
If Garcia knocks him out in emphatic fashion, emphatic fashion,
Emphatic
fashion, will you apologise?
No. I'll give him props. No, I mean...
You're breaking up, Lim.
He's breaking up like King Ray is going to break up Jason Velez.
How convenient.
Oh, well.
Sorry for dropping off there, but no, I would give him a ton of props. Yeah, because this is a really good step fight for King Ray. So if he does knock him out in emphatic fashion, of course you have to give him props, man. You have to. I just want to see Ryan Garcia get tested like that. That's my biggest kind of qualm with him right now. I just want to see him get punched in the face and see how he responds to that.
Yeah, the fight itself reminds me of Willie Lemond, Amir Khan back in the day. I think Willie Lemond was a lot better than what his record maybe suggests. He was a dangerous guy. He didn't get really many big wins, but he was definitely a classy operator, to quote Jim Watt. And if it wasn't for a long 10 count, Amir Khan might have lost that fight. And that was a tough step up fight back in the day, a couple of years ago that was. And if I'm being objective, you never really know how these prospects are until they get hit in the face, like Dan says. The thing is, there's really not a guy who is like a middle of the road kind of gatekeeper who's going to punch in the face and still lose. These guys are meant to lose so that the prospect goes to the next level. There's no one really like that in and around those weight classes. It's either beasts or bums. and Jason Velez is a faded B-level fighter, and we'll see what he's got. We'll see what King Rye's got. I think he'll win.
All right, let's move on. The next day.
I can't believe we spent that much time on King Rye.
The next
It's
day.
my favorite part of the show, man. Just hearing Chu talk about King Rye. I love it.
The next day, same venue. We touched upon it before, but Golovkin's facing Vanes Martirosyan. Chu, how do you see it? Easy work for Golovkin?
1 round.
1? Oof. What about you, Lim? 2 rounds? 2 rounds.
Yeah, I got 2 rounds. Anybody got 3? Anybody got
Go on,
3?
Nate.
Anybody?
You pick 3,
got
Nate.
I see a 4.
I'll pick 4.
If Golovkin is can reshape himself into the Golovkin that he was leading into the Kell Brook fight, 3 rounds. But I don't think he's that same guy anymore. I think Vanes is going to give him more difficulty than he really should for the level that they're kind of both projected at in terms of ranking and all that stuff, whether it's divisional or pound for pound. And I think Golovkin will probably get Vanes out of there in about 7.
Wow, 7 rounds. I'll go for 4. Neota, is Pedro Guevara fighting Roman Gonzalez 100% on that card? Because it is on the box, right?
Yeah. No, they did. They have listed it for at least like the last week and a half. So
that's a good fight.
It was really just they were pending it, because of the Golovkin Canelo situation. They didn't know if the card was even going to go on. So, but go ahead.
I'm just saying it's a good fight.
Yeah, it's an excellent fight. Actually, it's a pretty risky fight for Gonzalez. I don't think a lot of people would really blame him necessarily for coming back against a guy that he was pretty much guaranteed to beat. But Pedro Guevara is a guy that was a former WBC light flyweight champion, stopped Akira Yagashi quicker than Gonzalez himself did, and arguably deserves to be undefeated. His only losses were by split decision and majority decision. 2 of them were in Japan to Japanese fighters that he arguably deserved to defeat. He definitely deserved to beat Yuki Mura. And the other one was to Jonrio Casimero, who's currently one of the top-rated super flyweights, even without a belt. So it's a very risky fight. Pedro Guevara, honestly, I would say might be potentially the most technically skilled boxer at the lower weight classes. He's right up there with Estrada and with Nietes. The main question mark would be, is he able to carry the skills and everything upwards in weight? But at the same time, Gonzalez himself isn't really somebody that necessarily belongs at Superfly himself. So the other thing with Guevara is he has shown a tendency to be vulnerable to the body, and Gonzalez is a tremendous body puncher, still one of the best in the game, even if he is shop worn at this point. But I think this is definitely a severe test of where Gonzalez is at, because I think Guevara, even in his prime, Guevara would have given Gonzalez a good fight. But I think if he is truly past it, Guevara might beat him.
All right. Okay. Same day, May 5th, but broadcast a couple hours earlier in London. We have the card headlined by David Haye versus Tony Bellew. Chu,
I'm so excited, Kim, for that fight.
I can't wait, bro.
Is it going to be on Dave?
Nah, man. Pay-per-view, bro.
Oh, shit.
Chu?
Dave pay-per-view? No, I'm just...
Chu, how do you see the rematch playing out?
I think Tony Bellew will win. Yeah, I think it'll be more or less the same kind of deal, because David Haye, in his prime, it would be no contest whatsoever, because David Haye was, a specimen. He was fast. He could punch. He could put the combinations together. He had good footwork. He was just a all-round better fighter than Tony Bellew, and that's not being disrespectful to Tony Bellew, because I think Tony Bellew is a lot cleverer than people give him credit for. He's got a good boxing IQ. He watched a game plan maybe better than like a David Haye would, but David Haye had the better physical attributes. he doesn't have those attributes anymore. He's old, and even though he's kind of got this vegan diet going on, and he's kind of saying that he's back, he's not getting injuries and stuff, and he's lost a lot of weight. Ultimately, I still think that Tony Bellew is just more ferocious, and I think Tony Bellew will win a decision this time.
What do you think, Lim?
It's just mind-boggling to me that a guy who's Tony Bellew fought most of his career at 175, right?
Yep.
It's just mind-boggling to me that David Haye, who I remember even when he was coming up at cruiserweight, was like he was a high-level fighter at cruiserweight. It's just kind of mind-boggling to me that two guys that I view kind of similar in terms of the skill level, and David Haye being substantially bigger than Bellew, it's mind-boggling to me that people are still favoring Bellew. And I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just really like shocked that it's come to this. Like, I thought Bellew was a fucking joke. I thought he was just some loudmouth bloke from Liverpool that got a huge break on the Rocky movie that was a complete bum. But I don't know, man. I said this on an old show, like, this fight to me is just a farce fight. It's a fight that does well because it's in the UK. It's a fight that nobody would give a fuck about here in the States. So this fight doesn't even deserve the respect.
What?
Let's waste as much time on it, in my opinion. It's a shit fight.
Neota, what do you think?
Can I just, before Neota, people underestimate Bellew. They keep writing him off. They keep underestimating him. Like Dan just did. It's disgusting. It's actually disgusting. Sorry, Neota, on you go.
I got Tony Bellew, man. I don't think David Haye has recovered from his injury. I think Tony Bellew is at the very least a competent fighter. I wouldn't favor him against the elite guys at heavyweight nor cruiserweight, but I don't think Haye is that guy anymore, and he hasn't been for a very long time. And he's a guy with and that had an injured Achilles, and that's the type of injury that, to me, it's a question mark as to whether you'll be the same again until you prove otherwise. And this being that he hasn't had any interim fight in the go-between, he hasn't proven otherwise. So I favor Bellew to beat Haye again. There's a difference between being okay to live your regular life with a certain injury or a nagging pain or what have you, and actually being ready to fight a professional fight against somebody that, even if they're not the very top tier, is still a high-level fighter, which Bellew is. And so I think Haye, who knows, maybe he'll look good for a round and a half, but honestly, I just have a feeling like that ankle is a ticking time bomb.
And I kind of want to backtrack a little bit and apologize for coming off like such a cunt in what I just said, but I should have done a lot better in explaining myself. But this fight doesn't sit well with me because Bellew has no business being at heavyweight, and yet it is taking place at heavyweight. And I just get the sense, and I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm obviously not in that market, but it feels like a fight that's manufactured, and it feels like there's no actual genuine competition in this fight. It just seems like it's like a TV show fight. And Bellew, to me, again, he doesn't belong at heavyweight, and David Haye is like a C-list UK celebrity, in my opinion. I just don't like the optics of it.
Yeah, I accept your apology. It's okay.
I mean, are people excited for this fight? Are people actually looking forward to this shit?
I think the first fight had a lot of hype, more towards casuals, but the fact that it's been delayed, it was originally supposed to happen towards the end of last year. Haye pulled out again with injury. It's took a lot of maybe energy out of it, so I don't think it's as popular as it maybe could have been.
Yeah, absolutely. And
because Haye was heavily favored in the first fight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I apologize again for dismissing the fight so quickly, but it doesn't resonate anything for me at all.
for me, I hate Tony Bellew so much, and I find it difficult picking him, so I'm not. But his body is so brittle these days. You don't know how he's going to react after a couple of rounds. Like, I won't be surprised if he pulled out the day before the weigh-in or some shit with an injury. That's how brittle he is. But if I was so surprised with his tactic in the first fight, and it must 100% have been the fact that he knew he was injured and his injury might occur during the fight, which it did. So that's why he was kind of swinging for the fences. But if he's not injured and the fight takes place and it goes ahead, he really should behead Tony Bellew, really, man. Like, Bellew took Hayes' punches more than adequately than I thought he would in the first fight. Like, he took a lot of clean flush shots, but the fact that maybe Hayes couldn't plant his feet because of the injury maybe took some power out of him. But I was surprised how well he did. Like Adonis was catching him clean and hurting him, so I thought if he got caught clean by Hay, he'd be out there, and he wasn't. So I had to give him props for that. But I want to see Tony Bellew iced, man. I need him shut it up, man. I need him to stop speaking, man. I'm tired of this dude, man.
It's never going to happen. He's just too intelligent. I've learned a long time ago never write Tony Bellew off. He's just one of those guys. He's like a rubber band. He just comes back.
He would survive a nuclear blast.
Of course he will. He's sound. He's sound. He's a great kid. Kid. He's sound. He's a great guy. I love him. He's done a lot of work for charity, just like Amir Khan. You know, he's an interesting character on Twitter. He's got a lot of good things to say about other boxers. You know, I like that. Even like David Price, his friend, he's like a good guy. Like, I don't really understand the kind of hate he gets. All right, okay, he's a wee bit patronising, maybe. He's a little bit boring in the ring sometimes. And why the fuck do I even like him, man? I don't even know. But you know what, man? He's just.
I was going to say to you, you're not selling him well, to be honest.
I don't want to think about it, but it was that win at cruiserweight against that world champion whose name I forget. I really should box rec him, but it was just so. It was for the first time Bellew won the world title, and
Makabu,
yeah, and people were just writing him off, saying he would never be a world champion, and there he is. He won it. In emphatic fashion, and he deserves all the props he gets fighting a naturally bigger guy in David T, and he'll probably win again. And just give him the credit he deserves. He deserves it.
All right, let's move on quickly on undercard. Joy Joyce is fighting Lenroy Thomas in his fourth professional fight, which is a pretty decent step up. We've seen Thomas before. He's fought David Allen twice. First fight was a split decision. Second fight was a few weeks ago. Had to be stopped in the first round because of a bad cut on David Allen. But yeah, man, pretty good step up for his fourth professional fight. John Ryder versus Jamie Cox is probably the most interesting fight on the bill for me. It really depends which type of rider turns up. If it's the good rider, he should beat Cox pretty handedly, but sometimes Ryder is pretty poor. He doesn't show up and has weird game plans, man, so we'll see. Paul Butler versus Emmanuel Rodriguez, interesting fight, Naota, for the vacant IBF belt that Ryan Burnett dropped because of mandatory obligations and him preferring to keep the black WBA belt. But what do you think of Rodriguez, Naota?
Rodriguez is a very dangerous contender. I think that this was really strategic by Eddie Hearn in order to make it so that if Butler loses,
make him avoid Burnett.
Well, basically, have Burnett avoid Rodriguez because Rodriguez is a dangerous puncher, and so if Butler loses to him, it's not as big of a deal. If Burnett lost to him, it is. But Burnett has way more upside. Sellability. He still has a 0 and all that good stuff. Rodriguez is a dangerous fighter. I actually think I think I might favor Rodriguez by a late knockout here against Butler. But he hasn't fought somebody on the level of Butler yet. That's just me thinking about how good he's appeared in the past and thinking that it'll carry over up to this jump in class. Rodriguez is a good fighter, though. He's probably one of the better bantamweights with that belt.
Yeah, I've been high on Paul Butler for a couple of years, man, so I'll have to definitely YouTube Rodriguez and see his style and see how he fights. But Chew, Lim, anything else regarding undercard fights that I mentioned, or should we move on? We'll move on. Saturday, May 12th, Jorge Linares, Vasyl Lomachenko. Lim, I know we spoke about this fight quite often, and you think it's going to be easy work for Lomachenko.
I never said that.
Yeah, you did.
Why do you keep putting words in my mouth, man?
What do you think then?
I think it's going to be a fun fight. I think I do think Lomachenko is going to win, but I think both of these guys are showmen, and they like to do fancy things in the ring that are most of the times like it's not essential to boxing, or it's not even essential to kind of winning a round, so to speak. And I think they're going to respect they're going to play to the crowd, and I think it's going to be a very kind of technical, kind of appealing fight to watch for the first half, and I think Lomachenko is going to take over in the second half. But I do think Linares' size is going to give Loma trouble early, just because he is the naturally bigger guy, and he's longer and rangier than most of Lomachenko's opponents. And Linares he's skilled, man. I don't think he's very durable, but at the same time, Lomachenko isn't really the guy that's going to give him issues in terms of, just his face cutting up and bruising up like crazy. I mean, it can, obviously, but I don't think Loma's going to assert as much pressure as somebody like DeMarco or Yayo Thompson did in the past.
So you're saying the first half, do you see it being competitive, but Lomachenko winning the first part of the fight and then taking over in the second?
Yeah, I think Loma's going to win pretty handily, like 9-3, 10-2. I do think Linares... I don't know, man. I think it's going to go full 12. That's my prediction.
So no quitting from Linares, unlike his Lomachenko's last few opponents.
I think Linares has too much of an ego. Not necessarily hard, but he has too much of an ego in terms of his what he thinks is his boxing skills.
I think his girl would leave him if he quit.
Hey, that's not bad. That's more... I'm not even going to go there. The show has already been so disrespectful to women everywhere. So
more incentive to stay. Chew, what do you think?
Yeah, when you look at Linares' opponents in the past, who gave him trouble, Kevin Mitchell. When I look at Lomachenko, Kevin Mitchell is really the same size as Lomachenko, and what is it about Kevin Mitchell that troubled Linares? The answer to that is speed, angles, footwork, power. And of course, Lomachenko's got all of those things. When you look at Lomachenko, what troubles Lomachenko? The answer to that is Salido. But Linares is not Salido. Linares cuts like a motherfucker. He's not that tough. He's quite fragile. But he's talented. He's fast. He's big. He's strong. Got a good timing. It's an interesting fight, but I've got Lomachenko winning, and I think he'll probably stop Linares late. Accumulation of punches, cut up face. I could see Linares quitting. I can Lomachenko's got a habit of making people quit. I think Linares will quit in this fight.
Naota, what do you think about your favourite fighter?
I think Linares quits in the third round because Lomachenko is the greatest fighter to ever walk the earth. It's like since maybe biblical times. You have your guys like Samson and You have Hercules, and I'm just fucking around. I actually think that Linares will actually give him a lot of trouble. The first half, not unlike Lim was talking about. Just with the speed, with the range mainly. The length and reach. And Linares, he's a fast starter, or he tends to be anyway. But he does kind of gaslight pretty badly. Lomachenko, at the very least, is a worker. He's a hard worker in training camp. I think he's very well conditioned. I actually think Linares probably will deserve to be up, say, through 6 or 7 rounds. But the commentators are going to be on Lomachenko's nuts like nobody else ever before, at least not maybe since Pacquiao in his prime. So people are going to basically score it 6-0 for Lomachenko. And then from there, I do actually think Lomachenko will legitimately get his foothold in the fight and be able to surpass Linares on his way to winning what should be a close decision, but it'll wind up being some stupid shit like 10-2.
Yeah.
But honestly though, like for when it comes to the idea of pound for pound and all that stuff, if Lomachenko is pound for pound, he should stop Linares in less than 6.
Why do you say that?
Because Linares has been stopped before in the first round, in the second round, in the 7th round by fighters who nobody would ever consider pound for pound level, top 10, top 20, top 30.
But you can be pound for pound in completely different styles. Just because Floyd never started these bums, it doesn't mean he's not pound for pound.
No, that's true too. But Lomachenko,
okay,
I mean,
let me put it this way: would you be happy with Lomachenko just completely dominating him? 10-2, 11-1? Would you be impressed by that? If he just outboxed the fuck out of Linares.
Somewhat, yeah.
Okay.
It would kind of depend on how he did it, also too.
No, that's what I'm
honestly,
saying.
I think he's capable of outboxing him. 10-2, I'm not quite sure. So if he would do that, he would exceed my expectations. Yeah.
Okay, then that's the barometer. We'll place it at that because I think it's going to happen.
And those stoppages that you're talking about were earlier in his career. In the last couple of years, he's been on a good run.
I don't really buy that either.
He has, but he hasn't fought big punchers like
exactly
that
against opposition that's very favorable to him,
like Kevin Mitchell.
I don't really. You know what? That's the thing with Linares, man. Like Linares fights in a very, very weak division. So, as much as I love Lomachenko, and this is you can't shit on Lomachenko for fighting Linares. You just can't. He's moving up a weight class and he's fighting the second best guy at that weight division. But the thing that just kind of annoys me is this quote unquote resurgence of Linares. I mean, if I'm looking at his box rec right now, and his resume is pretty average. Mercito Hesta, Luke Campbell, Anthony Crawler twice, Ivan Cano, Kevin Mitchell. Come on, man.
That said, I mean, people really see. I know you're going to say Mikey Garcia to me here, but people really see Linares as the linear champion at that weight class. Because Mickey's a guy who's had a 2-year layoff. He jumps between weight classes. People really see Linares as the man at that weight class. I see Linares as the man at that weight class, and that people are just expecting Lomachenko to just fucking walk right through him. I don't think it's gonna be like that. I could see Lomachenko get hit clean hurt for the first time. That'll be interesting. I still ultimately just think that Lomachenko is just too active, too well conditioned, and just to bring it back to this, fucking physicality meme that Deontay started. He's just, for all the talent and technical ability that Lomachenko's got, it will be his physical conditioning that will win him this fight. We'll just take Linares into deep waters, cut him up, drown him.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Linares, he doesn't use his physicality, even if he was a strong dude, so that's not going to be an issue for Lomachenko. And come on, Chu. I know what you're saying, but Mikey's the guy at that weight division. He is. And they have the same amount of titles, don't they? Doesn't Linares have the WBA and Mikey still has the WBC?
I could say to you, Manny Pacquiao is the man at that weight class.
Yeah, they
At what
stripped
weight?
Linares. They took the WBC from Linares because he refused to fight without teaching him.
If we're going to talk about guys who are the best at this weight class, or I think Adrian Broner's a fucking great lightweight. That's his optimal weight. I think he'd be a problem with that weight class. You know, I could play that all day.
That's fair, but we both know Adrian Broner can't make lightweight, whereas we know Mikey Garcia can make lightweight.
Yeah, he just said that he was going to have his next fight at lightweight.
And he has the title. He just let go of his 140 title to resume his career at lightweight.
Yeah.
I think Floyd Mayweather could make lightweight.
I don't know about that
by
one.
all means, if Floyd had intentions of making lightweight and fighting at lightweight for his next fight, you would hear me say Floyd is the best lightweight. It's that simple.
What weight class was Mikey's last fight? It was
140.
Okay, so my point is that.
Well, and then he was fought at 135, the fight right before that.
Right. And he's fighting 135 in his next fight.
That's not fair. You need to pick a weight class, stick to it. Then I'll consider him the man at that weight class.
Those are two separate issues, though. And he's doing that because the IBF just stripped him. So, or
I know what you're saying. You know what I'm saying.
I do.
What I'm
But I
saying
feel like
is,
you're being overly technical because you know Mikey's the best dude at 135. If he fought Linares in his next fight, you would pick
Probably.
Mikey. That's my point.
I don't know, man. I saw that fucking
Lipinets.
It wasn't that good.
He still beat him 9-3, 10-2, pretty wide, and he dropped him too. That's not too bad in my books.
I think Lipinets would beat Linares.
No, but let's not even go down that hole, man. I just think Mikey's a better fighter than Linares.
Yeah. That's actually, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right,
It's all good. We're just me and Shu are being combative today, and I love it. It's all good though. We'll still send private DMs to one another about our affectations for Team Rai, so we'll make up later. Don't worry about it.
I feel it, but you took a knee in that one.
With Rai?
I mean, technically, I'm right.
Okay, whatever you want to say in your dreamland scenario, by all means. I don't care, man. Anyways, Kim, anything? Are there any other good fights on that card, on the May 12th card?
Not really, man.
My dude Azad is fighting.
Who's fighting?
My boy Azad. He's a Ronda Rousey promoted fighter out of Glendale. A little Armenian dude. Fights at 126.
What's his name?
Azad.
Are you sure he's fighting on that card?
I think so. That's what he told me. He could be lying for the Instagram clout. I don't know.
I can't see his name anywhere. But your girl.
You don't know his last name?
Your girl.
No, it's too long.
Your girl.
His last name ain't Hovhannissian, is it?
It is, yeah. No, that's Art Hovhannissian, right?
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah, what weight does Art? Art's like a welterweight, right?
He's a 122 pounder. He's fighting Ray Vargas coming up.
Oh, do you know what date?
I can't remember.
I'll look it up. Yeah, but my bad, Cam. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna give my opinion on Linares Lomachenko.
No, you know what? You're right. We were kind of both right at the same time. Azad Hovhannissian is fighting Ray Vargas.
Oh shit! On the 12th, right?
Different card.
Saddam Ali on the card.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a big step up fight for Azad. I think Vargas is heavily favored, right?
Most likely. I mean, Azad hasn't really fought at a main stage the way Vargas has. So that's probably, I mean, name recognition wise, he probably isn't favored. But he did knock out Ronnie Rios, who did go the distance against Vargas. So
he did a really good performance in that fight. But
yeah, he beat the shit out of Ronnie Rios, man.
Yeah,
this dude is he's a beast, man. He fucking fights like a Tasmanian devil, dude. Fucking crazy.
That should be a good fight because Vargas is a really good boxer, but he likes to fight it out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just going back to Lomachenko, Linares, I think for the first 2-3, I hope Linares will be a bit competitive, but I think Lomachenko will just slowly take it away from him. And I do see, like you guys said, maybe him getting cuts, and I think the fight will probably get stopped in cuts. It'll be one of those situations where he kind of wants the fight to stop, and then the corner will stop it for him, because his face will just be a mask of blood. But hopefully maybe the first 2-3 rounds will be competitive. I just want him to let his hands go. Like, I think Linares struggles with southpaw sometimes, and he's going to be fighting like the ultimate southpaw. Like if you look throughout his career, like even up to recently, Luke Campbell gave him issues. The last dude for the first 2-3 rounds gets to kind of give him issues with the kind of lead southpaw right hooks. He struggles with that punch, and Lomachenko throws that quite a lot. So yeah, man, I do not see how Linares will win that fight, but it should be interesting. Moving on to the card that you guys were talking about, Ray Vargas versus Azat Hovhannissian. The headline on that is Saddam Ali versus Liam Smith. Pretty competitive, like 50-50 fight, I think. Chew, what's your thoughts on that?
Liam Smith all day.
Oh man, you're picking the Scouser.
I'm Team Smith, you know, the way that Lim. I'm pretty fucking tired in a minute. It's 1:35.
I was gonna say, you sound like you're high as fuck, bro.
Nah, man, I'm actually lying down. I'm in bed. I'm thinking about Liam Smith.
Well, hey man,
You sound like Anita
good for a
Danae
podcast.
thinking about his opponents in bed.
Good for a podcast, Drew. Keep it up, man. The energy is blazing.
This is
Fistic
what-
fights, man.
Hey, I listened to your last Mystic Men podcast. You don't need to tell me about energy.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, yeah, Liam Smith all day.
So what?
You sound like Jared Hurd.
what-
You sound like Jared Hurd trying to make weight, Chew.
Do you think you'll like break him down, or do you think it's going to be like points win away from home?
Both.
Both.
I don't know, but I think the Smith brothers will really back Liam massively.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Neil, so what do you think?
I got Saddam Ali winning. I think he's a little bit too quick, and he'll just be kind of Liam Smith trying to catch up all night.
Yeah.
He might. I mean, God damn, he might be able to hurt Ali, you know, and stop him late, maybe. But I mean, honestly, I thought Ali held up pretty well against Cotto and boxed pretty nicely in there. He dominated that fight.
Yeah.
Rocked him every round. I think he's just a little bit too agile and quick for Smith, and he'll just be playing catch up, like I said before, all night.
Yeah, I favour Ali. Like, I don't think he dealt with the pressure of Jesse Vargas that well, but Liam doesn't really put pressure on with his feet, man. He's kind of like the high guard, tries to get close and then let go. So I think Ali should be able to just use the ring back foot and kind of pick him off with 1-2. So I favour Ali. Should be a decent competitive fight, hopefully, though. Lim, any thoughts, or should we call it a night?
No, I'm just surprised they gave the fight to Liam Smith, because Smith is with Matchroom, right?
No, he's with Frank Warren, but he was mandatory.
I
Mandatory.
see.
Mandatory.
That's Frank Warren ties, I guess. But no, I'm just kind of upset, man, because Liam Smith, if he wins, he's going to keep that belt hostage like Billy Joe Saunders, man. And it's making me depressed thinking about it, and tired. Like MV2. So that's it.
I apologize, guys. I apologize. I'm fucking.
No, we're fucking around, dude. No, but in all seriousness, no. It sucks because, right, if Liam Smith does win the fight, he's just going to keep the belt hostage, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like the Canelo situation.
Like he
I
did
mean,
the
the only
first
reason
time,
why he
yeah.
fought Canelo was a massive payday.
Yep.
That's it. So, fuck those guys, man. Fuck those brothers. Fucking
Right.
white-haired piece of shit.
That's a bit harsh, but
I've actually changed my mind just to kind of. I've got Saddam Ali. I forgot about Saddam Ali. I forgot he beat Cotto.
no,
You
you
got
can't.
knocked out by Jesse Vargas, bro.
Yeah, I heard about that.
He's not that good.
He's not that good, but Liam Smith, you know, it's his time.
No, he's had his time, bro. Forget that.
Who are you picking, Cam?
I'm picking Ali.
Yeah.
All right.
By what stoppage?
Nah, points. 12 rounder.
Hmm.
All right, Lim, Naota, Chew, anything else you guys want to talk about? Hopefully not, because I'm absolutely knackered.
Yeah, same.
Stop lying, man.
Bro, it's like 1:30. I could never see you staying up to 1:30 to do a podcast.
Of course I would. I do it for the Mystic Men all the time.
1:30 though.
That's why I'm so tired on the show.
All right, Lim, Chu, Naota, thank you. Also thanks to Leon, who was on earlier on. Thank you to all the people in the chat and all the people that download the show week in, week out. We'll be back next month. Peace.
You just listened to the Boxing Coalition.
Oh, dude, man, I love boxing. I fucking love boxing.
A big shout out to the Boxing Coalition.
You're a newbie.
No, I ain't new, man.
If my fucking next door neighbour became the #1 flyweight in the world, you know what I'd do? I'd fucking walk past the cunt.
Derek, how you doing, bro?
I was physically banging, blood.
I disagree.
First time I hear the show, man, it was fucking badass.
Vamos a Argentina, la concha de su madre.
I see the bomb in them.
I get home and she's like, what the fuck? Me and the kid are here. Why don't you get home and talk to us? I'm like, man, you guys don't know shit about boxing.
Kel, how does it feel to be the new IBF champion?
It feels great. Did we really dive into the black hole right off the jump?
I think he's hiding glass. Just to play devil's advocate.
You want 1 portion of crow or 2 portions of crow?
Give me 2 portions with a supersized fries and a large drink, please.
I can't stand him, what? I'm Scottish.
Fringe side?
But you won't rush Anthony fucking fat ass Joshua, would you?
He's not fat.
How about you tell us what you weigh for your final thoughts?
My weight?
Thank you for listening to the Boxing Coalition.